Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, TV, and streaming, and all sorts of good stuff. And joining me, of course, is Kimberly Ann Curran. Kimberly, how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's Thursday.
It's Thursday. A lot of stuff going on today. We're going to talk about that second. Right beside her, joining you guys in the live chat today. If you guys are in the live chat watching live, Ray Ora's here. Ray?
Hey.
And Ray,
how are you doing?
Going to the movies tonight.
Yeah, going to the
Me and Ray tonight going to go see Scream.
Oh yeah.
We're going to do our right out of the theater reaction once we're done with Scream. And then over sitting beside him, of course, is Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing today, sir?
I'm just going to Scream. I'm not going to see the movie.
I'm saying just going to scream. Just straight up screaming. Just like that. All right. Anyway, guys, it is good to have you here, and we are awfully honored that you guys would choose to take a part of your day to come and hang out with us here. And here's how today's show is going to go. We break the show up into two parts. In the first half of the show, we take some predetermined topics that we have lined up. Then in the second half of the show, we take your live comments and questions. If you like to get a live comment or question in on the show, if you're watching live, and only if you're watching live, go ahead and use the super chat feature in the YouTube chat, and we'll read off all those comments that get sent in at the end of the main topics. However, if you're watching during the other 22 hours during the day and you'd like to send in a question to be on the show or an upcoming companion video, simply go and use the tip down in the description of the video, or the link down in the description of the video. It's a tip link. Click on that there, or enter it in manually at www.streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. You'll be getting your comment or question read on our show, this show, or a companion video, if we deem your question appropriate to be used on our show. And of course, you'll be supporting the channel at the same time. And all of us involved with the John Campea Show, thank you guys so very much for your support. A little bit of a heads up though, guys. We have a companion video that is done. That gets to a bunch of the questions that you guys sent in to the tip questions. However, we weren't able to get it actually on the YouTube channel prior to the start of today's show. So don't worry if you're looking for that companion video. It's all done. It's all ready to go. I'm going to upload it and have it up on the channel after today's show is done, just to let you guys know who are waiting for that companion video to come out. All right, guys. With all that, let's talk about a couple of off the tops here, shall we? And the first off the top we're going to talk about is this. You know, yesterday came what I consider to be the great news that the Oscars are going back to having a host.
Hooray.
And again, don't get me wrong, the year after they had to, the year that they had to kind of pivot a little bit with the Kevin Hart thing and all that kind of stuff, they went no host. I got it. And you know what? It went off pretty well. That Oscars went off pretty well. But the Oscars, to me, need a host. It's that connective tissue. It becomes a thing we identify that year's Oscars by, right? And he or she becomes that person that kind of, that connective tissue that takes us through the show and gives that particular year's show its personality. And I like to see them get back to that. Now, we talked yesterday about the fact that Tom Holland, Spider-Man, has said he's interested in doing that. And we got confirmation from the Hollywood Reporter that the Academy has reached out to Tom Holland to discuss the possibilities with him. Normally, I don't think I'd be all that big on a Tom Holland hosting the Oscars, but this year, given the current circumstances, I think there's a lot of upside to it. Well, it may not just be Tom Holland, because according to a report going out there right now that you got to take with a grain of salt, but there's a report going out there right now that Pete Davidson is currently in discussions with the Academy to host the Oscars. Now, this is coming to us from the folks over at Joe Blow. They say, according to a report from Page 6, which is not always the most accurate, just going to say that. But according to a report from Page 6, Pete Davidson is being considered by the network to host this year's ceremony, and his representatives are reportedly in talks with producers. Davidson is being sought after because they hope by having him, the show will reach a much desired younger audience. According to Page 6, he gets a demographic that is hard to get. He is in a good space, his career is doing well, and he is on the rise. Nothing inaccurate about that, to be honest with you. He's a sex symbol, unlikely, but he is big with a certain generation. And that's what's being reported here. Okay, look, I'm going to say this is something that needs to be taken with a grain of salt because it's coming from Page 6. However, everything that is said there does add up. It's the same kind of rationale about going for a Tom Holland. You want to reach a younger demographic. Pete Davidson certainly has that. He ain't the biggest star in the world, but you'd never know that by looking at his dating card. If you look at his dating card, you think he's the return of George frickin' Clooney in his early 40s. But, I mean, he is a big name. He's pretty funny. I myself would not be all that thrilled to see Pete Davidson hosting the Oscars, not because I don't like Pete Davidson. He's not really a movie guy. But John, he was in The King of Staten Island. Yeah, he was in a movie, but he's not a movie guy. I prefer having a movie person there, right? But, you know, that's just me. I would prefer, if I had to choose between a Pete Davidson hosting the Oscars or a Tom Holland hosting the Oscars, I personally think it makes a lot more sense with Tom Holland hosting. Again, because not only is he the star of the biggest movie in the world right now, he's also the star of the movie that is the first movie to really bring people back to movie theaters in droves, and that's something to be celebrated. Everybody adores him. Like, you know, whenever they announce a new Oscar host, and we knew this before Kevin Hart, but we really know it now with Kevin Hart, after Kevin Hart. Once they announce whoever it's going to be as an Oscar host, there are going to be people out there who dedicate their lives to digging through every single scrap of social media posting, whoever that person is has ever done, to try to come up with a gotcha moment, right?
Pete Davidson's not going to survive that.
No, and Pete Davidson will most likely not survive that vetting, per se. So, but Tom Holland is a guy who probably would. I mean, as much or as good as anybody, right? So, I'm okay with this. I suppose if they announce Davidson, I'll be like, all right, well, at least they have a host. I don't think he's the guy, though. Not to say he couldn't do a good job, Rob. What do you think about the idea of maybe, well, number one, about returning to having a hosted format of the Oscars, number one. And number two, theoretically speaking, what would you think of a guy like Pete Davidson hosting?
Like you, Pete Davidson doesn't have, to me, the gravitas and the glitz and glamour that an Oscar host should have. I mean, if anything, he's the de-glamorized version. If they're going after someone like Tom Holland, I don't understand why the obvious answer to have the Oscar hosts should be Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday, too.
I mean, Andrew Garfield's a song and dance guy. He's a theater guy. He's in Tick, Tick, Boom. He won the Golden Globe for Best Actor. Or, you know, there's so many great, I mean, multiple hosts that you could have. I loved it when a guy like Hugh Jackman hosted. I don't know if that was the best show.
I loved Hugh Jackman hosting.
But because he's a song and dance man. Like when he steps out onto the stage, it's exciting, and they can do musical numbers, and he has a big smile on his face, and he's charismatic.
And he's like Tom Hanks. He's beloved.
He's beloved.
Everybody loves him.
And the Oscars, I mean, everyone's now talking about the deconstruction of Hollywood patting itself on the back. But you know what? When I was a kid watching the Oscars, it was something to dream about, and it was exciting, and movies are supposed to be that. They're supposed to be larger than life and full of dreams, and let's bring that back. Let's not put them in a train station again and demystify everything and have everybody talk about the fact that, yeah, well, you know, movies aren't that great. I mean, I hate that.
I'll tell you what, though. I will say this about Pete Davidson. Anne, for some reason, well, Anne really likes the Jonas Brothers. she really likes Jonas. And there was a Jonas Brothers roast.
Oh, yeah.
And Pete Davidson kept popping out in the roast. I gotta say, he was really funny.
No, he's really funny.
I have no doubt he could bring some laughs.
Yeah.
On that level. Kim, we talked at length about the Oscars and everything tomorrow, so we know what you and I think about it. But theoretically speaking, we got to take it with a grain of salt. But for the sake of the discussion, if they were to go and get a Pete Davidson, you okay with that? Do you think that could work? Do you think it's a mistake? What do you think?
You know what? I don't want to come down on him because, you know what? I like him. I think he's really, really funny. I think he is very charismatic, but this is not an issue of, are you good enough to host the Oscars? No, I think he's good enough. I think he's filled with talent. His life is going in a good direction. I feel like he's really growing as a person. He had some issues there, but I feel like he's in a healthy place, and I hope he is. However, right person for the right job, right? Just because you didn't get this job doesn't mean that we don't like you as a person. I don't think he's right for the Oscars at all.
If we're going to talk about who's right, there is only one answer. Because one of the big things they've been trying to do with the Oscars for the last number of years is also trying to shorten it up a bit. Ray Ora to host the Oscars. He'd be like, "Hey, folks, listen, we've already been going 20 minutes. Next presenter, hurry!"
And he'll cook for everyone.
And he'll cook for everybody. And if they
Win-win.
do their acceptance speech after more than 15 seconds, you just say, "Ray, come out." No, man, no, you're done, and just start pushing them off. That's
Just
exactly
give me
what-
all the cards and I'll open them and just read the winners.
Just say La La Land, every winner. Your winner, La La Land. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What would you theoretically speak? Again, you got to take, because it's coming from page 6, you got to take it with a grain of salt. But theoretically speaking, what would you think about a Pete Davidson hosting the Oscars? It does check a number of boxes, going for younger demographic, all that kind of stuff. It could be problematic at the same time, too. Whatever you guys are thinking, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's do another off the top here, shall we? And that off the top is this. Now, my number one most anticipated movie of the year, everybody knows. It's The Batman. That's the one I'm looking forward to the most. But right up there is Thor, Love and Thunder. Thor Ragnarok 2, Thor 4, whatever you want to call it. That's the one I'm looking for. I mean, first of all, I've loved the Thor franchise, even, understanding that Thor 2, The Dark World is there. I have still loved the Thor franchise right from Kenneth Branagh's second most underappreciated comic book movie of all time, Thor 1. Obviously, the most underrated being that guy's right there. But when Taika Waititi came on board with Thor Ragnarok, it brought with it a new DNA, new kind of dimension to him, and the ability to do Shakespearean level tragedy. Everybody just looks at Thor Ragnarok like some happy, funny movie. Odin dies. Asgard is destroyed. Mjolnir is lost. He loses an eye and has to replace it with one that was in a raccoon's asshole. I mean, there are so many, but it's all that stuff.
The thing is, that's true.
It's absolutely true. But everybody just thinks about the hot jokes, but there's literally Shakespearean level tragedy in it as well. And what Taika Waititi brought to the Thor franchise was a great injection of adrenaline, I thought. And Taika Waititi coming back to do Thor 4 is huge to me. Now, of course, one of the big players in the Thor sphere right now is Valkyrie, being played by the awesome Tessa Thompson, who a lot of us first took notice of her in Creed. But she's a wonderful actress. She's fantastic, and I like what she does with Valkyrie as well. Well, she just sat down and did an interview where they talked about some of the new powers we can expect to see with Valkyrie. Powers that apparently were always there, but were never revealed to us, the audience, on screen. But this is what Tessa Thompson said about new powers we can expect to see in Valkyrie in Thor, Love and Thunder. She says the following. She, being Valkyrie, has weird skills, to be honest. She can sense when someone is close to death, and she takes them into Valhalla, which is essentially the afterlife. She can revive people, too. But when she revives people, sometimes she ends up in their body. It's a weird thing. It can be quite erotic. And then she has superhuman strength and is essentially God. Let me read this all again. She has weird skills. To be honest, she can sense when someone is close to death and takes them into Valhalla, which is essentially their afterlife. She can revive people, but when she revives people, sometimes she can end up in their body. It's a weird thing. It can be quite erotic. And then she has superhuman strength and is essentially God. I mean, this is not the same Valkyrie that, like, if you just read that description to me and say, guess the MCU character, I would guess an Asgardian, something to do with taking them to Valhalla, sure. I would not guess Valkyrie, especially considering Valkyrie comes from an army of Valkyries, right? And so I don't know. So all I'm thinking of now, is this something that she's gleaned that they could imply she has, or is this something we're actually going to see in the comics itself? I'm not super familiar with Valkyrie in the comics and all that kind of stuff and what she can and cannot do and whatever. But so I read this and she's right. This is super weird. This sounds kind of very odd to me. Like, I thought she was just this great Asgardian warrior, but she has, Grim Reaper, the ferryman kind of responsibilities. You got to give her a gold coin when she takes you into Valhalla. I mean, I don't know, Rob, you're hearing about these new powers to I keep wanting to say Emma Thompson, that Tessa Thompson is talking about Valkyrie having. Does this fall in line with how you think of Valkyrie? Is this kind of out in left field? What do you think the thinking is? What's your reaction to it?
Well, it falls in line to what I think of Tessa Thompson herself. When I look upon her, I feel that she herself is so gorgeous. She has those powers for me. And that's why they cast her in the role clearly. No, but I think with Taika Waititi doing this movie, this sounds like, I mean, the kind of thing that he might imbue a character with.
Right.
Because it comes right out of his humor. And I can understand, like, maybe they've done that. That's not exactly comic book canon, but I can see it. I can see it happening. I just want a hot toy figure because they didn't give us one for Ragnarok.
But the armor she wears is awesome.
It's awesome.
She always wears awesome armor.
Awesome. Yeah. And no, I'm look, these comments just make me even more excited for Thor Love and Thunder because whatever we're going to get, John, it's going to be wacky and it's going to be fun.
I'm very curious about what she's referring to when she's talking about she can take over somebody's body, which is quite erotic. I'm like, so that sounds like a specific scene to me. It sounds like something's in mind, right?
Maybe someone literally is dying and she brings them back from the brink. Maybe she saves somebody's life. Maybe it's even Thor's life. Who knows? But I'm in.
I mean, this is wacky sounding stuff. Look, Kim, when you see this, obviously Tessa Thompson is an incredible actress. The character's already really great. I'm going to be honest. This sounds weird to me.
I really love the expression
I don't know what
on your face right now.
Yeah, it's like you look a little bit uncertain. What are you thinking about when you hear her describing it like this?
Oh my gosh. I just had this thought. Okay, how is Jane getting her powers? And in the comics, Jane is sick, so she feels like somebody is near death. What if she tries to revive Jane? I didn't even think about this. She tries to revive Jane and then accidentally ends up in her body.
Or imbuing her power into her.
Yeah. Or like she said, you end up in her body. And the movie is about getting through the whole movie. Tessa Thompson's pretty much out of it because now she's in Jane's body because she resurrected her or saved her because she was supposed to die. And all of a sudden, now you're basically Lady Thor because you've got these powers. And Valkyrie, like, she's an amazing warrior. What if that's what makes her? And at the end of the movie, they find something, what is it, Freaky Friday? And, they put the coin in the fountain and switch back.
I didn't even consider the Jane point of view there.
That's interesting.
Because if they are borrowing from the comics, right? They're saying she's got cancer. We've heard Natalie Portman say she's got this interesting situation where the more she uses her power, the sicker she gets, which is interesting to me. Now hearing that, 3 points to Hufflepuff. That's a good thought that could have, because I was instantly thinking it had something to do with Thor, but it probably has to do with Jane. That's a really good
she's in the beginning.
thought.
Oh my gosh, I'm sick. I have cancer. Let me save her.
But what sucks about that is that means Tessa Thompson will only be in part of the movie.
She wouldn't really be. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how that transfer goes.
It could just be a pivotal.
Yeah, I don't
moment.
know what happened. I don't. She didn't specify that the people switch. Like I become sick and the other person. She didn't specify that.
No.
But somehow her consciousness or her power, because because in this movie we know there's going to be a scene where Jane gets her powers.
Right, she gets her mojo.
Dude, bro.
Plus, I mean, I could see there's stuff. Maybe there is. I mean, there would be I'm sure Taika Waititi would make it erotically charged. Hilarious. That's why she says it. Like there's something that's happening between the two of them where they're changing their essences, and that's why it's called Love and Thunder.
Dude. Dude.
I mean, it could be very.
That would
this suddenly just went from
somebody bet me something.
Something that sounds very weird to maybe being really exciting.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see.
And then when
about
Thor
that.
kisses Jane, she's kind of like, I don't like you like that.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. All right.
So much you could do with that.
Guys, question is for you. What do you think about these descriptions of these new powers that Tessa Thompson's talking about? Does it sound just kind of weird? Or after what Kim said, does it sound like something that would be really, really cool? Whatever you guys are thinking, jump on down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. By the way, guys, listen, if Tessa Thompson is going to be ferrying people to the afterlife, you don't want to see her anytime soon. So you want to make sure you're eating healthy. How do you like that segue?
Wow, that
So we
was a
want to
reach.
thank one of the sponsors of today's show, our friends over at HelloFresh. We want to take a second and thank a sponsor of this video, HelloFresh. Now, listen, guys, if you are anything like me or Ann, Ann and I are both working professionals. We don't have a lot of time. And what that often meant was, when it would come to dinner time, we would either settle with making subpar meals or ordering fast food way too much. I like fast food once in a while, but we were eating fast food way too much. That's why something like HelloFresh was an absolute godsend for us. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. Listen, with HelloFresh, you'll be cooking and eating great looking and great tasting meals without the hassle of going to the grocery store and trying to remember everything you need to get on the recipe list, and you'll be paying less. And look, I get it. You are probably saying to yourself or saying to me through the screen, John, you don't get it. I don't know how to cook. I'm telling you, with HelloFresh, you can. Because the packages don't just come with all the ingredients properly portioned out already for you, but they also include clear, easy to follow instructions with images that you'll have no problems following. In 30 minutes or less, you'll be eating great and feeling pretty damn good about yourself looking at the meal that you prepared. So right now, guys, go on over to HelloFresh.com/Campea16 and use the code Campea16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. That's 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. So HelloFresh, everybody, America's #1 meal kit. All right, guys, don't forget to use that promo code Campea16. So HelloFresh.com/Campea16. Use that promo code because when you do, it actually helps the show. So thank you very much for that. And thank you again to our friends over at HelloFresh. All right, guys, with that down, let's now move into our main topics here today. And how do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. You see, you guys come up with our main topics. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we need to cover as a main topic here on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Kim, what is our first main topic today?
All right, guys, this is coming from Raiders Nation for Life. Hello, John and team. I thought I was reading something wrong today when I read in my news feed, side by side, were stories about Jason Momoa finishing shooting Aquaman 2 and news that he and Lisa Bonet are divorcing. One is super exciting and one is heartbreaking. I always thought they'd be a celeb couple that would make it. Was it a coincidence or planned to announce both on the same day?
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Raiders, and good luck in the playoffs. Oh, Raiders got to play the Bengals. That's right. Oh, no. So sorry, I take that back. Not good luck. Curses to the...
Oh, no, it's not. My football thing doesn't get that violent or aggressive. It's just whatever.
So, I mean, you're right. Listen, we don't talk normally here on this show about the TMZ stuff, who's dating who's divorcing who, blah, blah, blah. But it was kind of interesting that yesterday we get news, two very important big pieces of Jason Momoa news. One, of course, is that they are now finished shooting Aquaman 2. Now, there was some hints about a month ago that they had already finished, but apparently they weren't, because now they put out the big post that Aquaman 2 is done shooting. And now it's just all post-production between now and when it comes out at the end of the year. Very excited about Aquaman 2. I like the first Aquaman. Rob, I know you love the first Aquaman.
I love the first Aquaman.
Love the
Loved
first
it.
Aquaman. So looking forward to seeing this one. But at the exact same time, like literally when I was looking at my news feeds, like these stories came out like at the exact same time. Jason Momoa and Lisa Bonet announced that they were getting divorced. Do I think it's coincidence or planned? I think it was planned that those two pieces of information got out, probably to drown out the one a little bit. So I think that was probably the plan. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. I share Raiders for Life sentiments. I'm very sad about this because everybody just assumes every celebrity marriage does not work. Like, we just understand that. None of them work. But there are those very, very few exceptions, right? I can't remember Hugh Jackman's wife's name, who was like more famous than him when they first got together. She's an actress, and they are like, they're forever. That's a forever couple. Like, that's
Deborah Lee Furness.
Thank you. That's a forever couple. You know, we hope that Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson.
Yeah, Rita Wilson.
That Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson are forever. We have hopes for these ones. But when you understand the story of Jason Momoa and Benet, like, he grew up idolizing her, and then he actually got to meet her, and he actually got to marry her, and they had children together, and they've been together. I mean, I think they started dating in 2005, so they've been together a long time. So I just put them in that same category. I thought that's a forever couple. That's a forever couple. And so, yeah, I was very, very sad to hear about that. And you know what? What is also kind of sad I mean, I don't often feel a lot of sympathy for celebrities, but, you know, if a breakup is bad enough, if you're anybody, if you're a celebrity in a breakup, now you got everybody's talking about it in the news and everything like that. So if this was planned to announce that at the same time about dropping a big announcement that Aquaman 2 is finished shooting and blah, 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 that's actually probably a pretty smart thing to do. And I'm all for that. Now, as far as Aquaman goes, though, this is exciting to me. You know, what's my word, Rob, when this thing happens? It's the tangibilization.
Yes.
Aquaman, when they finish shooting a movie, to me, it's no longer a theory. It's no longer this thing in the ether. It's shot. The footage, and now they still got to do all the post-production work on it, but the movie's shot. The sets have been struck. The cameras are no longer rolling. This movie's a real boy now in Pinocchio terms. It's a real thing. And I'm very excited about this because I love Jason Momoa. I actually, in the early days, I don't know if you remember this, Rob, in the early days, before they announced Ben Affleck, after seeing the not so good movie Bullet to the Head with Sylvester Stallone and Jason Momoa, I said, this Momoa guy, he could be our next Batman. And everybody kind of laughed at it, but I'm like, seriously, I could totally see this guy as the next Batman. Now, it ended up being Ben Affleck, who ended up being my all-time favorite Batman. But then Momoa came into the DCU anyway as Aquaman, and I really love the way he carries himself as Aquaman. I think he's kind of he brings a little bit of that Hawaiian vibe to his Aquaman, which is a very unique thing that only he could bring to that role, which I think, you know, I could just totally, he brings a little bit of that. He brings a little bit of mahalo to Aquaman, and I think that's great that he does. I love it. I liked his chemistry with his dad. Of course, Boba Fett is his father in this world. I, of course, love his mother in this world. I know it's always controversial to bring up Amber Heard, but I like his chemistry with Amber Heard in these movies.
Do too.
So there's a lot I like about Aquaman. So to me, this is a very exciting thing. Rob, yeah, as excited as I am, I got to admit, my soul hurts a little bit because I thought that was a forever couple. But you're hearing this movie. It's in the can now as far as shooting goes. They're going into post-production. How are you feeling about that? Where's your anticipation like for Aquaman 2? And the fact that the same day, this unfortunate news about him and Lisa Bonet breaking up.
Well, first of all, I have to say there's a video on YouTube of Jason Momoa having Lisa Bonet's like original first car. It's like an old Mustang restored and turned into just cherry condition. Then he gives it to her and they drive off together. That's like one of my favorite go-to. I'm having a bad day. I go to YouTube and watch that video. Now I can never watch that video ever again. But that said, I love seeing that picture of Patrick Wilson, Jason Momoa, and James Wan on the beach in Malibu or wherever they were shooting. Because they were shooting here, which leads me to believe it was probably some pickups, things that they needed to go get. He said the majority of the film was shot in the UK. But it's always nice to see that happen. Like, as you know, like I thought the first Aquaman was just big, goofy fun. I loved it. I just loved it. I was surprised at how much I liked it. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, come on. I mean, as long as you've got armored sharks and armored seahorses and
don't forget about the drum playing octopus. That's going to say.
I want to see a marching band of sea creatures, playing, leading the way when the Saints go marching in. I don't know what they're going to play. I can't wait for this movie. It tickles my whole Ray Harryhausen when I was a kid, Jason and the Argonauts. Bring it on. I can't wait.
Kim, you hear about first of all the Aquaman. Where's your anticipation like for Aquaman 2? And you got any thoughts about the same day, the exact same time we find out about that, we find out about Jason Momoa and Lisa Bonet breaking up?
Yeah, I loved the first Aquaman. I loved it because I was thinking to myself, I'm always interested in the evolution of CGI and visual effects. And I'm like, how are they going to do this world underwater? And I was just fascinated with how they created this world underwater and how people's hair was flowing and their movement was so fluid. I was just in love with the graphics. I mean, obviously not bad to look at, and the story was okay, but for me, it was a visual effects triumph, and I'm so excited to see what they come up with next. I think he is perfect Aquaman. He's naturally like a man of the earth and sea, so it's kind of like
Man of the
just
earth
a
and
man
sea.
of the earth and sea, man. But in terms of the unfortunate divorce, look, he's got young kids. It hurts me. It hurts me. I don't know them, but it does hurt because, I mean, if you grew up with Denise Huxtable, you just love her. Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? But also their love story I thought was so cool. And like, I get something about his love story, like when he met her like at a bar or something, and because he's so huge, he just picked her up and was like, "You're my woman." And I'm like,
You're gonna go my way.
yeah, okay.
I got an idea for
I don't know. I don't know how large someone would have to be to pick my ass up, but I thought that was so romantic. But as my grandmother used to say, you all up in the Kool-Aid and you ain't got no mix. So in terms,
I've never heard that phrase before.
Wow.
in the mix. So in terms of people speculating, or accusing what happened, and I heard he cheated, and girl, I heard he was selfish. It is none of our business. It is an unfortunate thing, and I hope the rumor mill just slow your roll, leave it alone. They had to make an announcement because they're public figures, obviously.
Yeah.
So they'll be separate, maybe homes, maybe separate states, but their kids are young. They're one of those couples where I really felt like they're really in love. And there's this short documentary on his YouTube of their life and how outdoorsy they are with their kids. And I just respect how they crafted this wonderful exploration for their kids, this way of life that was like not much TV and video games, like let's rock, climb, let's hike. I respected that. And so I hope people continue to respect their privacy. It breaks my heart, but I'm excited for Aquaman, and I wish them both just the best.
Although I will say one sort of thing, I kind of chuckle a little bit whenever I see these celebrity couple divorce statements, and they always write, we both so cherish and love each other still and blah, blah. I'm like, no, you don't. Like, you're divorcing for a reason.
Well, look at Bruce Willis and Demi Moore.
Yeah, but that took, they kind of built their relationship back up. Yes.
To do that,
you have to get along.
You have to love and cherish each other to support each other's new marriage and to co-parent.
I know, but that's
in
rare.
That way.
That is rare because if it was
but it's
still,
real.
No. If it was still, no, it's not.
Real.
Because if it was still, so tender and such deep, devoted love, then you wouldn't be divorcing. I mean, but I get it. What are you going to do? You're going to get out there, like you got to come out there. I thought it was a very good statement they put out, but and I'm not picking on them. I'm saying all celebrity couples do this.
Yeah, the uncoupling.
Yeah, just
that word.
I mean, an honest one.
We're uncoupling. Is that even a word?
An honest one would be, hey, look, we're celebrities. We got a lot of stuff going on in our lives. It causes stress and tension. We started getting on each other's nerves. And now we feel it's better for us and better for our children if we go our separate ways. But I mean, nobody wants to write that because then everybody starts pointing fingers to point blame, and they shouldn't do that. So I like the statement that they put out nonetheless.
So now we got a new show. It's called Girlfriend, Wife, Watch. Because everyone's girl is on notice right now from Jason Momoa. He's out there. He's going to come get you.
Oh, the hose.
Wife watch.
Well, on the flip side,
but-
Lisa Bonet's free too.
Oh, yeah.
So come on now.
Because Pete Davidson has been on that girl wife watch already, so add Jason Momoa to that. But anyways,
There's a new Wedding Crashers series for you right there. Jason Momoa and Pete Davidson. Brand new.
But in terms of the picture, I really like Patrick Wilson in everything he's in.
Oh, the picture's great. Yeah.
He's a great. I think he's a good actor,
great actor
for the types of roles he plays. He's really good. I really like him.
Yep.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Where's your anticipation level right now for Aquaman 2? Are you excited now? level up that excitement when you see that the shooting is now actually done. You see that picture of them on the beach saying, yeah, we're done. What are you feeling about that? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 2. Kim, what is our second main topic today?
All right, this comes from David. Hey, John. So I watched the latest episode of the Book of Boba Fett, episode 3, and I'm left underwhelmed and embarrassed. It felt lame. The epic car chase scene oddly felt like a fight scene from a Power Rangers episode. Holy cow. What do you think of the episode? And does this make you worried about the future episodes to come?
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in, man. And yeah, listen, it's been a bit now since since Boba Fett episode 3 aired. We're going to talk about it here openly. So this is a show that's on TV. So if you still haven't seen it, and you don't want to hear anything about it, well, that's on you to cover your ears and move away for a second. But Book of Boba Fett episode 3. I was not satisfied as a viewer with Book of Boba Fett episode 1. I thought 2 was a definite improvement. I was like, okay. Then came episode 3. Now let me talk about what I liked in episode 3 before I talk about everything else. That moment when he returns on the Bantha to the Tusken encampment and finds them all dead, I was surprised how emotional I felt at that moment. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't cared 2 squirts of urine for these Tusken Raiders in the desert. I haven't cared about this story at all. And yet, he arrives back on that Bantha and everybody's dead. I felt it. I'm like, well, hell, would you look at that? There was actually a little bit of... Now, I don't know if it was 3 episodes of build-up worth of payoff for that moment, but that was a good moment. And I enjoyed that, and I felt it, and I thought that was great. There were a couple other things that I enjoyed seeing. Like, I am enjoying the dynamic between Boba Fett and Fennec more and more. Like, to me, I mentioned this on the show yesterday. To me, speaking of Godfather, she is like the best consigliere. Like, she calls him on it, but she's absolutely loyal. Like, she can chase after the guys. All he has to do is look or say, Fennec, alive. That's all she needs to hear. Boom, she goes, gets him, brings him back alive, right? Like, whatever he needs, he does. And we often forget that in Mandalorian, he saved her life. He found her, left for dead in the desert, and he's the one who saved her life. And I like that, and I think that's been even deepened even more here. So I like a number of things, quite a bit about episode 3. And then there's all the other stuff.
Oh.
The Mos Espa Vespas. I mean, I couldn't tell if I was watching Luca or Book of Boba Fett. But they should have had Sons of Anarchy jackets with like the Mos Espa Vespas, just riding their Vespas around. And I mentioned this on yesterday's show, Rob. I said this. So let me get this straight. So these kids in these clothes, these massive cybernetic enhancements, and the most colorful things on the entire planet of Tatooine, these Vespa speeder bikes. These are the kids that have no work and can't afford a glass of water? Really? And then, to take it one step further, Boba Fett finds the Mos Espa Vespas. He's never met them before, hasn't heard of them before Stephen Root went and found them. And without knowing a thing about them, other than the fact that they said a couple of snarky, disrespectful lines to him, he goes, well, you're the type of people I should hire. I hope you can fight. Like, really? You're I don't know how to pronounce it. The Diamo. You're whatever. You're the crime boss here. You ain't going to make it long as the crime boss here, Boba Fett, if you're hiring fighters that you've never seen fight. Oh yeah, but they're young kids and they say some pretty snarky comeback lines. I bet that means they can fight. What? What are we talking? What? Seriously? You're not long for this world as a crime boss, Boba Fett. I'm sorry. And then while I love Stephen Root, because I just saw him in Succession as well, I love him. I just kept expecting him to say, when he says, what have they done? I kept expecting him to say, they stole my stapler. It's my stapler, and I'm going to burn them now. I mean, that's all I see. Plus, I love Danny Trejo. But that sudden appearance of Danny Trejo, to be honest with you, felt more jarring than anything else. I mean, and they imprint on the first person they see. And that's kind of cool. Get a little bit of background on what the Rancors are and how they work. Okay, I dig that. And I think with that little bonding moment between Boba and the Rancor, I want to ride him. I mean, I think we're getting set up for something pretty exciting later on in the show. I do. I think we're getting set for something pretty exciting. Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum. Black Chrysanthemum. I have pronounced his name. A lot of people hated that fight.
Killer Chewie.
I didn't hate the fight. I'm going to be honest with you. I know everybody else hated the fight. I didn't mind the fight.
I like when he cracked his back.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, ooh, that sounds like it felt
And you know what else I love?
Because he just got right back up, and he wasn't like,
kill him.
oh my God, my back.
Yes, or it should have
was
crippled
like,
him.
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's all good.
Come on.
But I mean, I like the fact I want to see badass Boba Fett, but I also want to see that, unlike Steven Seagal movies, that he's not completely invincible. Like you catch Boba Fett, then you're also got a sense of stakes, right? So I didn't mind the fight. Although I think it was Kim who brought up a really great point. How the F did he get in?
Yeah.
Where are these guards? Where are the Vespas? Where are the
Does he lock the
Gamorreans?
door?
No, it's a cave,
they don't lock
bro.
the door.
It's not. There's no door. It's just an open cave.
Boba Fett has Jabba had a gigantic door to let you in that R2 and 3PO
And he didn't
had to
fit in
knock
no
on.
air duct.
No.
He did Black Curtain.
Community living.
It's
over there.
Community living.
Community living.
And so how to get whatever. The fight happened. Whatever. I'm fine with the fight. What is pretty interesting though is it does break canon with the comic books. Because remember, Disney bought that. They say everything from now on is all canon. The comic books are canon. Well, we've seen this Wookiee in the comic books and what his backstory is and what led him to this. And this kind of breaks that. I mean, you could do some fast talking and maybe try to make it make sense, but it kind of breaks canon. That's fine. But at the end of the day, and that chase scene through the city was awful. You could really feel the lower budgetness of the whole thing. And they're driving high-speed chase. I felt like I could have jogged and caught up to them at any time. I just could have jogged and caught up to them. And the visual effects were questionable at some points too. When you're asking the question, is the Book of Boba Fett a disappointment? There's a lot of people online asking that question right now. And I'll be honest with you, I am shocked when I think about this is from the same team that brought us Mandalorian. It's not like John Favreau just said, let's hire this other B squad to go and do Book of Boba Fett. Okay, no, Favreau wrote this. Him and Filoni are executive producing it. This is the same team that brought us 2 glorious seasons of Mandalorian that just seems to me to feel like it gets better and better and better. And they're the ones behind this. And I will say yes. Up till this point, I believe Book of Boba Fett is a disappointment. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. Not at all. But considering the setup they gave this guy in Mandalorian Season 2 and what we come to expect, and I guess he developed a fear of flying because now he's got to walk to town every day instead of taking the Slave 2. I mean, yeah, you know what? I need to get my steps in, Fennec. Let's walk. Let's walk into town. And then the huts are coming out. Now, let's not take the sail barge out there and then be carried off. No, let's just have our little slave guys carry us through the desert to get... What? I don't know. So, yeah, I'll go... Look, have I given up all hope that it can get better? No, I have not given up hope that it can get better in episodes 4, 5, 6, and 7. We still have 4 episodes to go. There are still chances it can be really good. But right now, yeah, I'll say this show is a disappointment right now. I don't know, Rob, you've been watching Book of Boba Fett. We haven't really talked about it.
No.
But what did you think about episode 3? And overall, how are you feeling about the series as a whole up until this point?
I find this show so far rather perplexing. Robert Rodriguez directed the first and third episodes, and I thought that the direction, I was surprised. I mean, cutting his teeth on stuff like El Mariachi, where his camera work and his understanding of editing really gave a movie that had basically no budget, a lot of wit and verve, and it was action-packed. It was fun to watch. I feel like I'm watching some anemic live-action Saturday morning cartoon or live-action like Arc 2 from the 70s. There's a reference for you. But what really bothers me about this show is Boba Fett is kind of an idiot. Like I'm seeing, here's a guy that in Empire Strikes Back knew Han Solo's tactics, knew that Han Solo was going to float away like the rest of the garbage, and was able to anticipate this and get the jump and get to Bespin before Han Solo did. He was a cunning guy who understood what to do, a very competent guy. All we've seen, especially in Robert Rodriguez's episodes, is Boba Fett having his ass handed to him. And both figuratively and literally. What does he want? Why does he want to consolidate? It's like he seems so haphazard. I don't feel like Boba Fett has any plan in this show. It's like he goes and he sees the same shot of himself watching his father fly off in the Slave One, which they've like reused twice now, and he doesn't have any plan. And I don't believe he can succeed. Everybody's way ahead of him. The mayor of the town, like, oh, we walked into his office and oh, he locked himself in his office and oh, he was able to escape. I'm like, bruh, come on, man. Put Fennec at the back door. Like, why do you both walk in together? I think Tamora Morrison is trying really hard. I've liked the Sand People stuff, but I just find myself thinking Boba Fett is kind of a boob who doesn't know what's going on. And I don't understand, like you pointed out. He walks up and hires some randos with their colored Vespas. Like, why would you come work for me? What do you have to offer me? Why would you be altering your bodies? That's kind of dumb. It's like is that the new form of tattoos? You know, when you're 30, you're like, oh, I regret cutting my arm off and replacing it with this. Should have done that. You know, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm still tuning in. I hope it's going to get better, but it's just a mishmash of bad ideas. It's like a salad that has too much fruit in it.
All these damn pomegranates.
Well, Drew, Ray, you've been watching this show with me. I mean, every Tuesday night we're here. Midnight comes, we watch it. Where are you? How are you feeling about Book of Boba Fett right now?
Well, not knowing a lot of this backstory of Boba Fett, I actually like it. Like some of the things you guys pointed out, yeah, it's there, but it's not enough for me to, not want to keep watching more. I think the only part that bothered me was the little song and dance number they did at the end of episode 2.
Oh, dancing around the fire?
Yeah, because I actually fell asleep and I woke up thinking it was the next day. That's how long that part was to me. Like during it, I was at your table sitting in the back. I usually sit in the back while John's on the couch and stuff. I sit at a table. And I fell asleep like right there at the table during that part. But
all honesty, he asked me after, because Ryan was there too. He asked me, but how long was that dance scene? I'm like, it was maybe a minute or two. Why? He goes, well, the dance scene started, I fell asleep, and then I woke up and they were still dancing. So I wanted to know how long they were dancing for.
No, it was a Maori haka. It was great.
I fell asleep while they were dancing. When I woke up, they were still dancing. So I didn't know how long they were doing that for.
But yeah. I'm not at the point where I don't feel like we should stay up to watch it. I definitely want to stay up and watch the next one because I actually think it's getting better.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not. I've lowered my expectations for all Disney Plus shows, and I'm just riding with it now. So whatever comes on, as long as it's there. I mean, I appreciate that they brought a Boba Fett story to us. It may not be good, but I appreciate that they're bringing something to us.
What about you, Kim? I mean, you've been watching it. Where are you at right now with what we've got from Boba Fett so far?
Well, you know me. Like, I set an alarm to get up after I've been sleeping for a little to watch the show. And then it's easy for me to fall back to sleep. But I watched this at 4:30 in the morning, but I had to start my day. I wanted to go back to sleep so bad because it just put me to sleep. I was so bored. And what I don't get, because you know me, I didn't read the books, the Star Wars books. And so I love learning about this world. But the little I do know about Boba Fett is that he's a badass. He's a cutthroat badass. And this guy, he is a gentle, diplomatic, a little bit slow of a fighter, diplomatic, kind of gentle, poetic guy. And I feel like, even though I don't know much about Boba Fett, I'm like, wait, what? That's not who I heard about. Like that, it doesn't seem to match up with the lore in terms of what I'm seeing. Is this how he was in the books? Is this how he was in the comics? Was he this gentle? Am I missing something, John? Was he actually this?
No.
gentle
No,
and
no.
diplomatic
No.
and kind and poetic. And honestly, the Minotaur, the creature that he got as a
Rancor.
gift, the Rancor. Thank you. I called it a Minotaur.
The Minotaur.
The guy with the legs. He was petting that thing and staring at that thing for so long that I thought it was going to be a jump scare. Like it was going to just wake up and go,
Right.
Grr. He was like, I'm like, you want to lift his leg? Do you want to look under his arm? He's inspecting. He's staring at it like,
I thought it was
I'm just
a nice
so in love
moment.
with it. 'Cause
I thought it was a nice moment.
Can I read it? Bro,
Here's a question.
either get on it or just get out of the room.
If they released Hawkeye, all the episodes all at once, would you liked it, or you think that would have been better for the show? Because I'm
Nah.
thinking with Boba, that's what they need to do. Like going,
Well, it highlights the thing though that this was another episode that was 30 something minutes.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch
minus
the next
I can't remember
episode.
how long it was if you minus the very long credits. Like you're in the 30
And a
minute
very
range
long
again.
car
so
chase that was
a
yawn-inducing.
very long
Because
yawn-inducing car
you
chase.
take
Yeah.
into account you're staying up at that time, right? So you're
Yeah.
investing something already, and then, that's why I'm thinking if they dropped all of it, then like maybe the people could see it as a whole and not judge it on episode.
You would fall asleep.
Yeah, I would fall asleep.
you
but-
would totally
You would
fall
be in
asleep.
I would totally
deep-
fall asleep, but I mean,
Yeah.
I would get through it by the end of the month.
But
No.
if I sat down right now and watched and just
You
watched
would.
all the first 3 episodes back to back right now, it's not any better.
oh yeah,
It's not any better.
What it's missing is we don't understand where it's going. Like Succession. We all know that the 4 children are somehow competing to become the leader of the family. We understand that. We don't know what Boba Fett wants to do. Like in the middle of all of this intrigue, the Hutts show up and go, "Yeah, I know, we're sorry we tried to kill you, but here's a Rancor." And then we have this side trip to hang out with the Rancor for a while. Well, what does that have to do? Obviously, they're setting up that he's going to ride the Rancor into town to wreck shop at some point. Fine. But wreck shop against who? Or what? Who are the people he's like, what's he trying to do? I don't know what Boba Fett wants. He just walks into town to talk to people, and he doesn't have a plan.
Well, now he wants revenge, obviously.
Revenge against
Revenge
what?
against-
Whoever
what?
killed whatever is that.
But why
Yeah,
is he even
but-
he doesn't have to take over the town.
Oh.
Like, I don't even know why he wants to do that.
He didn't even get mad that they sent a hitman or a hit chewy to kill him. He wasn't even like, "How dare you?"
Well, he
they
did
were
say,
like,
he did say we've got to respond.
yeah, but then they were like, "We're sorry," and he was like, "Okay." Like, but you know what this makes me think of? Remember how they were saying that Harrison Ford might do a Luke Skywalker, like at the end
Yeah.
of Mandalorian? I so don't want it to happen now because it'll be that thing that kind of saves the show, and I don't want it to happen now because it will be this amazing highlight, and it'll make the show even lower because you'll be so thrilled that something freaking happened. Look, if he gets in a really great fight next week and I see some explosions or I see something intense or he actually gets mad at somebody and he uses his jetpack, like, be all of Boba. I'm over
All right,
it.
one other thing I should point out here, because somebody, John D in the live chat said, well, John's precious WandaVision was only about 30 minutes each episode, averaging out. Yeah, and I complained about it every week. The difference, though, is that when the WandaVision episode would end, I'd be like, no, don't end. This is so good. Boba Fett episodes end, and I'm like, don't end yet, because you haven't gotten to anything good yet. Like, so there's a thing. So yeah, I complained every week about the length of the WandaVision episodes too. But part of that complaint came from like, these episodes are so good, I don't want it to end. With Boba Fett, I feel like, please keep this episode going so I feel like I was vindicated in staying up to watch this show. And that's the difference right now. By the way, I put up a poll in the live chat while we were discussing and asked you guys, has Book of Boba Fett been a disappointment so far? Almost 1,000 of you guys have responded. As 68% of you are saying, yes, it is a disappointment so far. 32% of you are saying, no, I'm not disappointed in this show yet so far. We still have 4 episodes still to go, guys. Let's see how much it can turn things around. Whatever you guys are thinking about it right now, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 3, shall we? Kim, What is our third main topic today?
All right, this is coming from Tommy Doyle. I just saw an
That's funny.
IGN article that officially confirmed that the Matt Reeves Batman is rated PG-13. It caused a fair amount of backlash as fans expected it to be rated R based on those epic trailers. I'm still very pumped about the movie, but to me, this was a bit of a surprise. What do you make of this, and will there ever be an R-rated Batman movie?
All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, so I'll be honest with you. I wasn't even going to talk about this because the news came out that the Batman was going to be indeed PG-13, to which I was water wet. Of course, everybody knew it was going to be PG-13. I mean, that's what Batman should be. That's what it is. I was really surprised to see the amount of backlash I saw online and the debates going on online about a lot of people really, for some inexplicable reason, thought this was going to be rated R. Which I thought that was kind of like the Tooth Fairy. Like maybe something you believe in if you're 6, but as you get older, you know that's not the case. And find out there was, actually, there's a lot of people that really believe in the Tooth Fairy. There was a lot of people that actually thought the new Batman was going to be rated R. They were expecting it, especially as it turns out after watching the trailers. They're like, well, that's the trailer to an R-rated movie. No, it's not. Nothing happened to those trailers that looked R-rated. But it did launch a lot of discussion, a lot of debate online, some passionate debating I saw going on. My basic thought on the whole Batman rating is this. Batman never should be rated R. And Batman never needs to be rated R. Look, remember, The Dark Knight, which had the infamous pencil scene with the Joker. Oh, I love that scene so much.
It's great.
That's a PG-13. That's a PG-13. And we often talk on the shows like, when I have a discussion with somebody who wants Batman to be rated R, I always go to this. So you're saying you want titties? No, I'm not saying we need titties in a Batman movie. Okay. So you're saying you want to see a lot of explicit sex. No, I'm not saying we need a lot of explicit sex. Oh, so you just think it'd be more cool if Batman said fuck more. No. Well, then you're okay with it being PG-13. I mean, I don't know where to say. Anyway, this comes to us from the folks over at Variety who write the following. The film has been rated PG-13 for strong, violent, and disturbing content, drug content, strong language, and some suggestive material, according to the MPA. Sources close to the film say the Batman, which is grounded more in reality than recent DC adaptations, was able to nab a PG-13 rather than an R rating because it doesn't have excessive foul language or nudity. Sorry, Pattinson fans. And though intense action scenes abound, it's more along the lines of exploding buildings and wrecked cars than merciless stabbings or shooting sprees. With that in mind, the less provisional rating isn't a surprise since Christopher Nolan's exceedingly grim The Dark Knight trilogy were christened as PG-13. So again, when I have a discussion with somebody about this Batman and wanting it R, I'm like, so you're either saying you want a bunch of sex or you just want him to drop the F-bomb more. And that would magically make it a better movie? I mean, Batman would be better if it was rated R. Why, 'cause titties would make it better? I mean, I just don't understand. Well,
Only on Cock Max.
only on Top Max. I don't know what the thinking is there. This does not need to be rated R. We saw the level of violence, so we're going to get in these trailers. That is PG-13. I think people think PG-13 and they think Pixar. That PG-13 is family friendly. You can do a lot in PG-13, and I'll go one step further. I think you can do everything you need to do in a Batman movie in order to do a great Batman movie. So look, would I have complained if they had made this rated R? I wouldn't have complained if they made it rated R. That's fine. But the R rating wouldn't have made it any better. This isn't Deadpool where you kind of need to sort of be, if you want to do the Deadpool they're doing, you can do a PG-13 Deadpool, you can. But if you want to do the Deadpool they're doing, that's got to be rated R. But Batman does not need to be it. That's just my take on it. Rob, you and I, we've had this discussion a bunch
Many times.
over the years, but now, this Batman movie with the trailers we've seen for it, the kind of grim, the dark, that visceral kind of feeling to it. Number one, are you surprised it got a PG-13? And number two, what do you think about the notion that maybe it should have been rated R?
Well, first of all, I've never understood why people judge a film by its rating. Raiders of the Lost Ark is PG. Jaws is PG. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom has Mola Ram ripping out some dude's heart and holds it up while it's beating and it turns into fire. And that was PG-13. And like you pointed out, the Nolan trilogy is PG-13. What does a rating... I mean, look, Deadpool has a lot of body, sexually suggestive humor, and some incredible violence. I understand that. And the way that movie works, it's great for that movie. I don't think a PG-13 or a PG Deadpool would be as much fun. But for me, Batman, like you pointed out, Batman is kind of in all ages, as much as it can be as grimdark as you want it to be. But Batman's still Batman. They can't... I mean, Joker's a murderous... He's a murderous psychopath. So an R rating for that film's fine. But Batman... I mean, come on, you're going to have kids and their parents going, as grimdark as it may be, as killer or stab, or however psychotic the Joker or the Riddler turns out to be in this movie. Do we need to see heads on pikes to convey the violence? I don't think so. I mean, to me, a great movie, it doesn't matter what it's rated. I mean, 2001's rated G. So is Star Trek The Motion Picture. Do I like them any less because they have G ratings? No.
Yeah, now you could have, if they wanted to make it R, they could have. And I'm sure that when discussing a new Batman, considering, remember, before R-rated comic book content would flop, but there's been some successes with it lately. So I'm sure there was probably some conversations at some point about, okay, well, if we're going to do Batman, should we consider rated R? I'm sure that was part of a conversation. Sure. But again, it just comes down to what was not in The Dark Knight that you feel kept it from being a great movie. A lot of people, I don't personally, but a lot of people consider The Dark Knight to be the greatest comic book film of all time. PG-13. But anyway, Kim, you're hearing about this, the discussion that goes on between, it's got a PG-13 rating, which I don't think was ever going to be in doubt. But, do you think there could be advantages to there being a rated R, or do you think PG-13 is exactly where this thing should be?
PG-13 is exactly where this should be. It's exactly where it should be, because I look back at Christopher Nolan's version and it blew us away. I think sometimes on some of his of the trilogy, I'd have to pause and wait for the rating to pop up and go, wait a minute, what was this? Was this? Oh, it was PG-13. Not that they were throwing around F words, because they couldn't, but it doesn't need boobies. It doesn't need the F word. Did you see him? I am vengeance. Boom, boom, boom. He doesn't need to be, I am effing vengeance. I am effing vengeance. Is it going to make it? Well, you were kind of soft the way you said it. You should have said the F word. No, he got his point across very clearly without saying the F word. And I think Catwoman, she's going to be sultry and sexy and powerful and action-oriented without showing her tits. So calm down. Get over it.
Darn it.
No, but like that, calm down. Get over it.
I know. I think you're making a really good point. I mean, if you think about The Dark Knight and the opening heist sequence.
Oh my gosh. So when
Joker is killing people he's machine gunning them down. You do not see blood squibs. You don't see blood squibs. And they did that because if they had Paul Verhoeven blood squibs where blood is erupting from bodies, then you would have garnered an R rating, and they don't have to do that.
And was the scene any less effective without the blood squibs?
No, it was not, because you know what? You don't even realize there's no blood squibs there until you go back and watch it, and even now, oh wow, there are no blood squibs, because it doesn't. He's still gunning a dude down. If you want to make the gunning of somebody down much more graphic, if you want to do a David Fincher 7-esque version of the Batman, I'd be there for that. But the Batman character is appealing to all ages, and it would really curtail, I think, the audience. Sure, it could do Joker money, but in the long run, are you doing a good thing for the Batman franchise by making it R rated?
What about me? I mean, I'm curious because, this thing about balance between rated R, PG-13, you're, as a viewer, what would you want to see Batman rated as?
It's just fine, but I think the rating is just fine, but I wanted to point out that opening to The Dark Knight that Rob just mentioned. is like one of my favorite openings to a movie.
for a lot of people.
Because the music is like,
Yeah.
and it's like, then you hear the little ticking of the watch.
And there's a whine at the beginning.
Yep, that's what it is.
It's it's completely effective. You watch
Man,
that scene.
that opening.
It's a tour de force shot in IMAX.
That's why that DVD is in my car. Like, I've never taken out of the DVD player. I always watch that.
You watch
not
watch the
it
movie while you're
driving.
driving?
Not while I'm driving. But there's sometimes where I have to wait outside a store. And like, so I'll put that on, and that opening is just great. But anyways, the rating, it doesn't bother me at all.
But John,
like, it doesn't need blood.
Yeah, one thing I was thinking is, say they were redoing Silence of the Lambs.
Right.
And they were making it PG-13. I can understand being upset at that.
Yes.
Certain stories with certain characters where it's appropriate, where this character, he's cutting someone's head off. I mean, it wasn't Silence of the Lambs, it was a sequel, but when he was eating, Ray Liotta's brains?
That's in Hannibal.
That in Hannibal. But that needs to be there, because that's that character, that's that story, that's that history. So, yeah, I'd get upset if there's
a template has been set for it.
It's a template's been set, and that's how hardcore this character is. So I would be pissed if they said, we're going to do a PG-13 Silence of the Lambs. Then you get upset. But if you've never seen a Batman where it was all the stuff that you're complaining about, and now you're upset because the next one is PG-13, just like the amazing, legendary Christopher Nolan trilogy.
You know what else too? I mean, like, if you think about it, say there's some R-rated sex scene between Zoe Kravitz and Robert Pattinson, which I would not object to having. But I think something like that would feel actually really out of place in a Batman movie.
Remember what was that animated Batman one where Batman just fucked Batgirl on the rooftop?
I hate.
What was the Killing Joke, or was that a
I think that's a Killing Joke.
Killing Joke? It's like,
It made no sense.
And everybody's like, what? Why is this here? This doesn't do anything for it.
And it totally made her look
I agree.
that character.
I mean, as beautiful as Zoe Kravitz is,
It'd be out of place.
It would not feel like a Batman movie anymore.
Yeah.
Even in the comics, they don't have like R rating. I mean, Dark Knight Returns, stuff like that, but it's still weird. Like, it just would feel weird. And huge graphic violence. I mean, Batman beating somebody with his fist is enough. That's like, whoa, man, you feel his fury. But if you were to see like somebody's teeth popping out and their whole face like an irreversible beat to a pulp, it would just be like, ugh.
Yeah, if you wanted to see Batman taking out a Batarang, and like after he beats that guy in the face, pulling out a metal Batarang and then starts stabbing him in the face with it over and over again, okay, you could do that, but it's not consistent with the character and everything we know. Anyway, guys, we could probably talk about this all day. The question is for you. What do you think about this? The Batman, I should say, has been given officially a PG-13 rating. Are you surprised about that? Do you think it should have been R? Where are you guys feeling about this right now? Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. And speaking of beatings, no, that's not a good segue. That was
you
the
should
wrong.
have said, speaking of R-rated.
Speaking of R-rated, ladies and gentlemen, you know what? You got to take care of yourselves. Rob, I don't know about you, but if you're having guests over to your house, do you just leave a messy or do you tidy up the place?
I always tidy up.
You always tidy up the place. So guys, if you're going to have visitors to your domain, you want to be as tidy as you can. Listen, that's why we are so happy to have Manscaped as one of our sponsors of this video. Check this out. We want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of this video, Manscaped. Now look, guys, it's a brand new year. It's time to make some resolutions about taking care of ourselves, and that includes taking care of our balls. For too long, too many guys I know have been using like beard trimmers, or even worse, this part of the electric razor to take care of the area down there. It's barbaric. It's like trying to carve the statue of David using a dull butter knife. Thankfully, there is a solution for guys like you and me, and it's Manscaped. Manscaped is a company dedicated to giving us guys products to take care of the parts that we often forget to take care of properly. Now, I've been using the Performance Package 4.0. The package includes the backbone of their line, the Lawnmower 4.0. And listen, I love this thing. It's designed and built specifically for our ball area, giving the best and most comfortable results that I have personally, honestly, ever had. And you have to try to believe it. it also comes with the Weed Whacker. It's a specialized tool for, your nose and ear hair trimming that Ray Ora himself just recently used for a special event, and it worked better than his previous tools. And I gotta mention the body wash. I am not joking. I used the body wash for the first time about a week ago, and you can ask Kimberly, Ray, or Rob or any of them. I came into the studio that day raving about how I haven't enjoyed taking a shower this much in a long time. The body wash is fantastic. Also included is the crop preserver. That's your ball deodorant, guys. Take care of yourselves down there. And also don't forget the crop reviver, which is a ball toner. So guys, get 20% off and free shipping with the code Campea at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Make sure you use that promo code Campea. It's the new year, guys. No pubes in 2022 with Manscaped. And remember, guys, use that promo code Campea when you go to Manscaped. And we, of course, thank Manscaped for being one of the sponsors of the John Campea Show. All right, guys. With that down now, let's move on and start taking your live comments and questions that you guys have been firing in since the start of the show. So, Kimberly, what do we got up here first?
All right, our first one comes from Brandon Blake. Beth Dutton, all-timer TV character.
I don't know if I'm ready to put her as an all-timer, but she is one of the best characters on TV. Yellowstone finally got some due from the SAG Awards as Best Ensemble Cast. She is definitely one of the big reasons for that. I love that character. All right, what's next?
BW Rosa says, hey, the John Campea Show, did you all see the Godfather 50th trailer?
I know this guy did.
I certainly did. Godfather's my favorite movie of all time. I pre-ordered the 50th anniversary box set. Cannot wait. I'm going to go see it in the theater yet again.
And listen, I'll tell you what. I have never seen The Godfather on the big screen.
Oh, on the
So
big screen.
you know I'm going to go see this. I
Can't wait.
Oh. Anyway,
What does your dad feel about the portrayal of Italian Americans in that movie?
my dad loves that movie.
Okay, good.
My dad loves that movie. Like my dad's thing is this, like, because sometimes I've wondered before about the portrayal, how Italians are often portrayed as the mobsters and whatever. I've never personally been bothered by it because I've never seen something that suggests that all Italians are like this. It's just that the mobsters here, these are Italian mobsters. These particular Italians are mobsters. There are Italians who own bake shops or Italians. So my dad's never had a problem with it. So I'm good with it. All right, what's next?
Donut Head says, these bro jokes are becoming as bad as Arnold's Mr. Freeze ice puns from the Batman and Robin. Let's kick some ice.
So when we have to start the show late, I say, sorry, guys, something was broken. No, I apologize. That was terrible.
Boy.
That was bad.
I was watching the Poseidon Adventure last night.
Poseidon Adventure.
Oh, see, now you just did it.
Sorry.
That's just a welcome mat.
what have we done now?
Welcome mat to all the those things. You guys just said it again. It's your
All
word.
right, what's next?
Oh, God. K Major says, so everyone's just going to forget we watched Joker make a pencil
I was just
disappear
saying this.
in a PG-13 movie. That scene still haunts me. Awesome scene, though.
I mean, listen, again, when you understand that scenes like that, all the other stuff in The Dark Knight, the scene that we even see in the trailer for the Batman with him, putting that guy down and then beating the living shit out of him. It's PG-13. We're going to get this. We're going to get a good, dark, visceral Batman movie. I have high expectations. All right, what's next?
Andy says, just watched Scream 1 through 4 for the first time ever, and I love them so much. Just hope I don't have COVID like my sister so I can go watch Scream 2022.
I mean, first of all, good on you for being considerate of other people who may be around you. All I can say, man, I'm very excited about going to see Scream tonight. Which is crazy because I think the series is terrible. Other than the first one. I like the first one too.
I do too.
I like the first one. But still, I can't believe I'm excited. So me and Ray, our buddy Ryan, we're gonna have some dinner here tonight. We're gonna go watch the movie, and then Ray and I are gonna do an immediately out of the theater reaction. It's gonna be Ray Ora's first. Ray Ora's first out of the theater reaction. I know he's gonna blow up the
I'll be
internet.
like, man, the best parts I didn't fall asleep to.
I only slept 30 minutes of this movie. 4 stars. All right, what's next?
Andy says, I was going to ask if there should be a John Cena biopic, but then I realized that 2 years ago, Universal Pictures already gave us The Invisible Man.
Hold on. Get well to his sister too. I'm sorry, I had to.
What's that?
Get well to Andy, that same person who asked us next.
Oh, that's right, because you mentioned his sister.
said it got
Sick.
cold.
We
Get
should
well to
thank
him,
you.
too.
That's why Ray's looking after our chat with people. Yes,
Yeah.
get well soon to Andy's sister, man. Definitely. All right, what's next?
Wait. He asked something, right? Andy, the one. Before.
Oh, John Cena.
Oh, okay.
It was in The Invisible Man because you can't see him.
Oh, okay.
And eventually it hits him. Eventually it hits him. All right, what's next?
Jackmaster Norad says, "Hey John, I watched the new episode of Superman and Lois, and I really loved it. Have you checked it out yet?"
No, I tapped out on the show. I really liked the first 7, 8, whatever. I really did. Then they reminded me this is part of the CW extended universe. I was really enjoying it kind of as its own isolated thing. And I did not choose to then stop liking it. It's just that once it kind of did that, it muddied how I saw the show and I wasn't enjoying it anymore. I'm not saying the show got bad. I'm just saying I kind of tapped. Have you been watching Superman?
I watched it up to, what was it, a hiatus? It left for a while.
Did it?
Yeah, and then that's when but I liked it. I mean, but to me it's you know, the TV superhero stuff is not as much or not as fulfilling to me as the movies.
There are exceptions.
Yeah, there are.
Like Daredevil, Punisher, but yeah,
Well,
you're right.
But those
Generally
are like
speaking.
limited, you know, so I felt like, okay, you watch a season of Daredevil, it was a nice compacted full story, but these CW shows just go on and on and on.
And that's fine if they're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Frederico Jordan says, "I remember seeing Batman Returns when it came out, and I loved Keaton's Batman ever since. It's a little surreal that we're going to see him don the suit alongside the Flash. Just crazy."
The other thing you got to keep in mind too about this, here's the other thing that's nutty about this, is that if you were to cast Michael Keaton today, forget that he's 70, forget that. If you were to cast him today, a lot of people, probably me included, would be going, Michael Keaton is 5'6" and $140. He can't be Batman. And there was a lot of people that talked like that when he was first.
Yep.
Mr. Mom is going to be Batman. Really? Brokeback Mountain Boy is going to be Joker? I mean, but a lot of people, let me get this straight. Mr. Mom is going to be Batman. But it wasn't as elevated then. I think today it would be, but yet here we are, that we're all really excited to see Michael Keaton back as Batman. You know what I mean? So it's funny how things kind of change. All right, what's next?
John Redcorn says, "I think Holland is a great choice to host the Oscars. The ratings have been slipping the last few years, and having him host could attract younger viewers."
I think look, I already said it yesterday. I think there's a lot of upside to Tom Holland. Again, he's a very big star right now. He is the star of the movie that has brought people back into the movie theaters in record numbers. Even though there are some people that don't like he was cast in Uncharted and whatever, everybody likes him.
Yeah.
He is a song and dance kid. He can do it all. So like, under these circumstances, coming off of the train station Oscars last year, yeah, I think he's a good choice. I think it would work. There could be better choices, but I'd be very happy with him. All right, what's next?
Devin Griffin says, "Ben Affleck is not done playing Batman. It a lie."
No, it's not. I mean, this one thing back here being the Flash, this was kind of his way of being able to more gracefully exit. Because he was never going to come back at all. But this Flash thing offered him an opportunity to do a graceful exit. You're not going to see him, especially you just hear his comments from it again. And again, I say this to somebody that Ben Affleck is my favorite Batman. And I want 20 years of Ben Affleck's Batman. I want him playing Batman until he is the Batman from the Dark Knight comic. That's how long I want to see him playing Batman. But it is what it is. All right, what's next?
Cody Hunt says, "Watched Empire of the Sun last night.
Nice.
Wow, what a great movie. You could tell even then
Bale.
that Christian was going to be a great actor. I love the exploration of a child's perception of war."
You know, I don't know what you feel about this, Rob. That is, I think maybe about a year ago, Empire of the Sun came out. We said that is one of the greatest movies that doesn't actually get talked about a lot.
No, you know, it's funny. When I first saw that movie, I thought it was over-directed. I thought it was too much. I went and saw it opening day, and over the years, I believe it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, it's a fabulous.
I mean,
one.
when they're the fall of Shanghai and all those people when he gets separated from his parents, it's wrenching. So good.
All right, good one to bring up there, Cody.
Great score too.
Well brought up, Cody. What's next?
Jackmaster Norad said, "Speaking of the book of Boba Fett, I wish people would stop comparing it to Mandalorian and just judge it on its own merit."
Okay, here's the thing. You can do both. You can judge it on its own merits, and you can compare it to Mandalorian. It is a fair comparison. Book of Boba Fett is literally a spin-off of Mandalorian. It is taking place at the same time in the same universe, being done by the same people, all that kind of stuff. So it is totally fair to compare it to Mandalorian. But you can compare it to something else and yet still judge it on its own merits. This show, on its own merits so far, is a slow, clumsy, at moments kind of fun thing that none of us would be paying attention to if it didn't have the name Boba Fett attached to it. And that, I say that's my own personal reflection on it, on its own merits. And then we compare it to Mandalorian and we go, my God, how can it be like this when they did same people, same universe, same everything, makes Mandalorian so good? And so I think it's possible. I don't think it's an either or, Jack Nord. I think you can properly do both. That's just my take on it. All right, what's next?
Wiley Todd says, it's Scream Day, baby.
Game day. Scream day.
I can't wait to see this movie. I'm going to the live Q&A screening for it tonight. I just hope I love it.
I hope I love it too. I've never been excited for a Scream movie. I am excited about seeing it tonight. I don't think we're getting a live Q&A or anything like that. But I hope you have fun at it, man. I love live Q&A screening, so I hope you have a good time at it, Wiley. All right, what's next?
Mr. Downtown says, hey, John and crew, ready for NFL playoffs?
Yes!
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is getting a genre reboot as a drama, and it's weird as Game of Thrones as a comedy.
I'll tell you what, I finally watched the trailer for it. Not impressed.
Yeah?
I like the concept.
Was it the quality you didn't
feel
was very
felt,
high?
I don't know. But I love the concept of doing Fresh Prince of Bel-Air as a drama because the concept is built as a drama. It's kind of, when you think about the concept of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, it's weird that it's done as a comedy. When you really think about
you're
it.
Right. Yeah.
Kid, underprivileged kid, streets of Philadelphia. The mother gets incredibly worried about the trouble and the danger that her child's life is in all the time just by living there. Ships him off to live with a wealthier family and other thing. And the culture shock of both of the family bringing that child in and for the child going into a totally different set of circumstances. That's drama. That's not a comedy. So when you really think of it, but I will admit I watched the trailer and I didn't like the trailer. That doesn't mean I won't love the show, but I thought the trailer was kind of weird. All right, what's next?
Casey Mack says, gotta say, I don't know if you've seen Peacemaker yet, but their opening credits are a lot different from stuff that I've seen. That's James Gunn for you.
Today, I'm going to watch those episodes.
Yeah.
You haven't watched it yet either, right?
No, because it dropped. I guess it dropped at midnight last night.
And I totally forgot it was coming out at midnight last night.
I totally forgot it.
Or else I would have stayed
But
up
I'm
and
gonna
watched
go.
it.
I'll watch it this afternoon.
Yeah,
we can talk about it tomorrow.
So we will talk about it more tomorrow. Did either of you guys watch Peacemaker? Not yet? Okay.
No, I went to see 355.
Oh, really?
I forgot to say, I didn't mention when I came in the office.
What?
Let me tell you something.
Tell us something. Lay it down.
It was great.
Really?
Yeah. Look, it's not Heat. All right? It's not
We don't
Heat.
need it to be Heat.
I don't understand why it made so little money. I think it was marketing. It was really good. That whole girl song, that was at the end credits, and you couldn't even really tell. It wasn't like, hey, girl power. Blah. It was really good. The action was there. Diane Kruger was whooping.
Well, Diane Kruger's
ass.
great. I love Diane Kruger.
And I like that it didn't do that that Michael Bay thing where it's like a pretty Victoria's Secret model that punches a guy that's 3 times her size and then flips him over her shoulder like he's weightless. No, they were getting beat up and it was a very good movie. It was predictable, but it was really good. I don't understand the criticism.
Wow.
Go see it.
I'm going to have to go see it now.
Go
How
see
can
it.
you just drop that on us now?
he asked, I thought about what I was doing yesterday and why I didn't watch Peacemaker.
All
But
right.
I forgot to mention it. I know when we come in the office, we usually talk about
So
everything.
we will talk about Peacemaker tomorrow, but thank you for sharing that. All right, what's next?
Andy says the Tracksuit Mafia's favorite villain in the MCU is Thanos because he's voiced by Josh Brolin.
Or, as they call him in Eternals, Thanos. Thanos. I love the way she says that.
At least the joke was
Thanos.
right there,
Chanos.
Brolin.
Thanos. All right, what's next?
Suthia says, theory. Mr. C and Mr. B struck a deal to have Mr. B live in studio on the condition that neither will speak of the forbidden phrase new era Star Trek.
Oh no, you'll probably hear us debate Star Trek a lot. You'll probably hear us debate Star Trek a lot. For those of you who don't know, there are certainly things I don't like. There are certainly elements I don't like. But overall, I like new Star Trek. I think it's fair to say there are probably elements that Rob likes, but generally speaking, Rob does not like new Star Trek, and we will go at that quite often. So you've told me about some things you've liked. Come on, you've told me about some elements you've liked, and I've told you about some elements that I don't.
It's true. True.
But yeah, we are
Like
very.
how there's a beginning
We are on
and
the
an end.
opposite side. Yes, we both acknowledge there's a beginning and an end. Credits seem to be spelt properly. The camera generally seem to be in focus. No, but yeah, we are on diametrically opposite sides when it comes to new Star Trek. All right, what's next?
Andy says, to answer your questions from yesterday, the bro movie title that made y'all really like it was either Ghost Brosters Afterlife from my 2021 list or Fantastic Bros, The Secrets of Dumbledore.
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 I think that Dumbledore. I think that's the one we really
like.
like.
I like how I gave a
Yeah.
list of bro movies first, and since then, everyone else has been adding to this sweet chaos.
Dumbledore. That was
Sorry, I
the good
wasn't
one.
here yesterday to hear that nugget.
Dumbledore.
No.
Perfectly placed too. The
No. I think you were here. It wasn't yesterday. I think you were here when the
Was I here
Dumbledore.
then?
Yeah, I think we all
Dumbledore.
like laughed. I think that was the one that everybody
I
sent
must
in.
have
That thought
struck
was
it from
really,
my
really
mind.
Think
good.
about where you place the bro is the most important thing. you
Yes, it's the placement.
The
The
placement.
I love that he
surgical
called it
precision.
sweet chaos.
Sweet chaos. No, that's not so sweet. All right, what's next?
Hey, John Redcorn says, at this point, get Kanye to host the Oscars.
Hey, listen, if all you want is to watch a train wreck, go ahead and do that. All right, what's next?
Jack Master Norad says, I know this will never happen, but I'd love to see Jeff Dunham and his puppets host the Oscars. I know he's not a movie guy, but it would be funny.
And right now, most people across the internet are like, who's Jeff Dunham? He performs a lot in Vegas.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only reason I know who he is because I'm in Vegas a lot. And so, yeah, there's that. He's actually pretty funny. He is actually pretty funny. But yeah, that wouldn't happen. Probably no, because most people never even heard of him. All right, what's next?
Suthia says, in the trio of super predators in 2010 Predators, one of them called Tracker had the mask with two tusks. The suit actor, Kerry Jones, is now Chrysanthemum.
Oh,
Oh, so same guy. Cool.
I didn't
Right
really
on.
say,
I didn't know that either.
I
Right on.
love it when our viewers throw in little bits of info like that I actually find really interesting. Thanks for
Nice.
throwing that in there, Suthies. That's really interesting. All right, what's next?
Zishan says DC got what they wanted. The scene where Batman goes down on Catwoman got cut for that PG-13.
Remember that what was that? Remember that was a big kerfuffle that went on a little while ago. That somebody said, for instance, we're not going to show Batman going down on Catwoman, and that caused a big, a big brouhaha.
Yeah.
People were like, and I can't remember what some of the jokes were great about that. All right, what's next?
Mr. Hank Dunn says, I want them to bring Seth MacFarlane back to host.
I'm gonna tell you what, unpopular opinion. I didn't think he did a bad job hosting the Oscars when he did. Again, I prefer a movie person but he did 50 Ways to Die in the West, or however many different ways there were to die in the
Right.
West. Yeah, but he's not generally a movie guy per se. I do love Ted though. I really like Ted. All right, what's next?
Matt Shaw says, enjoy Scream tonight, guys. Seeing it tomorrow. Can't wait. UFC question. Kane versus Nagano versus Kane. Who you got? Also, Masvidal versus Covington just announced.
Oh, well, I didn't know the Masvidal Covington fight has been made. That's a fight they've been trying to make for years. I really don't like Covington at all. Other than maybe the top two guys in the division, obviously Usman being the king. Other than the top two, he's the best welterweight in the world, Covington. But he can't beat Usman. Usman's a champ. I mean, you can't beat him. Masvidal, I've always contended is overrated. He's a good fighter. He's got a better than average record. He is not the insane savage people make him out to be. Don't get me wrong. If I get in the octagon with him, he's beating the shit out of me, of course. But I'm not. But I'm just saying, I think he has always been an overrated fighter. I think Covington beats the hell out of him. And I think Francis loses the heavyweight title. I really do. I think Francis Ngannou, who, by the way, we just saw in the Jackass trailer, but I think Francis loses that title. I think he's just facing a guy who's just too complete of a package. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm not going to put money on it, but we'll see. I would put money on Covington destroying Masvidal, though. He'll destroy Masvidal. All right, what's next?
Matsiv Jada says, host from popular film is better than popular Oscar.
I don't know what that means.
No. He's talking about how they had this idea of doing the most popular movie before. He's saying that getting a popular host is better than the idea they had a while back of having
But
a new
he's
award.
a host from popular film is better than okay. Yeah, you're right, Ray. That's exactly what he's saying. That a host from a popular film like a Tom Holland is better than having a category for best popular film.
Yes.
Oh yeah, best popular film is the most idiotic ass backwards idea ever to come out of that cluster clown of idiots over there at the Academy Board ideas ever. Like, thankfully they didn't do it, so cooler heads prevail. But yes, you're right, Massive. That would be better. All right, what's next?
Walid Haji says, what do you think of Patterson's physics in Batman?
No idea what you got to be more specific than that. I have no idea what you're talking about. All right, what's next?
Luis Enrique de la Peña says, shout out to the best YouTube show crew. John Campea, Kimberly, Curran, Robert Meyer Bronette, and Ray Brorora. You all rock.
You know what? Cringy as it is, that wasn't bad.
Yeah.
That wasn't bad.
Now and then you get pulled back in.
Sweet chaos.
That wasn't bad.
says
All right,
Andy.
what's next?
Michael Hamilton says top 5 lightsaber duels: Palpatine versus Windu, Anakin versus Obi-Wan, Darth Maul versus Obi and Qui-Gon, Anakin versus Ventress, the Clone Wars, Darth Vader versus Luke. John, thoughts?
It all depends on what you're talking. If you're talking about the drama of it, then yeah, the Vader versus Luke in the Emperor's throne room in Return of the Jedi is the greatest lightsaber fight scene in history. As far as pure choreography goes, I got to give that to Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon versus Darth Maul. I mean, the choreography of that is just too great. I mean, that is the best lightsaber fight scene. Also, Windu versus Master Yoda. Not Windu, I'm sorry, Dooku versus Master Yoda. I know a lot of people didn't like that, and I hate the prequels. I love watching Yoda fight.
Yeah.
The way when he, first of all, he comes into the room, like there's that dramatic moment, there's that pause, you hear the click, 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 Dooku looks over, and in comes Yoda with his little cane, and then like, motherfucker! He goes like, starts like yelling people up, and like, I love that to me.
He goes, what?
Like, I don't know, but he goes crazy and just like the flipping and the running. Like, I loved it. I like ate it up. I thought it was great. So I put that up there too.
To go back to that last question he asked about the physics thing,
Yeah.
he meant physique. What did you think? What do you think about Robert Pattinson's physique?
They definitely go with a trimmer, a leaner Batman, and that's fine. You can do that. I just need him to be in the best shape he can be.
Me and Robert just talking about how the suit looks like so comfortable now, like from all the reiterations they had
You
before.
can move now.
Yeah, he can
Go
actually
back
do
to that
some
Michael Keaton
shit.
Batman outfit.
I just feel for him back then, man. That was like having like fondant on you.
Yeah.
Did you hear Val in the documentary when Val Kilmer's talking about how he hated being Batman because that
The suit and everything, yeah.
He was like, it was like being in a coffin.
He's the oft-forgot Batman, Val
know,
Kilmer,
right?
as a matter of fact.
He was good. I liked him as Batman.
I didn't love the movie, but I liked him as Batman. All right, what's next?
Luis Enrique de la Peña says, this is the last one.
Oh, no.
What's the Tracksuit Mafia's favorite musical? That's kind of good. Bohemian Rhapsody.
All right.
But
I'll give you that one. That was not bad. Bohemian Rhapsody.
Pretty good.
Okay, I'll get that.
Pretty good.
As
Works.
long as Rob keeps smiling, it's working, baby.
All right, what's next?
Luke1234 says, if Armie Hammer were to be cast as Hannibal Lecter, would that make him the greatest method actor of all time? Allegedly.
Love it, baby. What? Am I like the only person that's
It's so funny because you were over there rolling.
That's pretty good.
You are rolling.
Because I just figured out what he's being accused of. I didn't never bother to read about whatever.
Oh, so you never heard about
Yeah,
any
I
of that
never heard
stuff.
about any of that stuff. So now all the jokes are coming back to me. Makes sense.
By the way, I'm going to see if I can find this. I'm not sure that I can, and I certainly can't do it in a timely manner, but I'm just going to see if I can do it quick. So you guys know that I've shown this once before, but here we go. I'll do it again. So there's this one time I was talking to Armie Hammer, and I brought up this image, and I said, in hindsight, why does he look hungry as he's looking at me?
Oh my God.
Yeah, this is making so, yeah. All right.
Was I there too? Was that the first CinemaCon?
You might have been the one holding the camera there.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
wow.
you were probably there too. He probably looked at you like you were
I
a
know.
sweet Filipino dessert.
Filipino sausage. Longanisa, baby.
What?
A big pile of longanisa. Let's go. Eat me, army. I don't know. All right, go. What's next?
Dude.
Gaio says, I just want to point out that the Hellboy reboot was rated R, and it was hot garbage covered in the aftermath of eating Taco Bell.
True. Yeah, like just make it rated R. This is gonna be great. That's not how it works. That's
You
a
know.
really good thing to bring up. Or yo, that is a really good thing. And I'm
The
sorry.
hot aftermath of eating Taco Bell. Is that what it is now?
All right, what's next?
Enrique Caceres says, Spider-Man 4, Home Alone. Perfect title.
I mean, a lot of people joked that was gonna be the joke of Spider-Man 3. Like everybody joked Home Alone, or because the pandemic was going on before they released the title. Remember, everybody thought Spider-Man work from home. That was gonna be the thing too. I remember that one. All right, what's next?
Josh Avila says, it's interesting that your top 2 underrated comic movies are Thor 1 and
Man of Steel.
Man of Steel. I find both to be similar dad issues. God cast to earth, love interest, fight in small desert town with small group, etc.
I don't think that has anything to do with the. I mean, those
Very
are
similar.
Those are digging under the surface similar. Like you could. That's like kind of digging around for the similarities. But I really do like. Obviously, I think Man of Steel is the most underrated comic book film of all time. I love this movie more every time I see it. But Thor 1, the other two is in my top 3 is. Man of Steel number 1. I think Thor 1. I went to go see that 7 times in theaters, and then I went 7 times to go see that. And that was before having A-list. Like
Wow.
I just paid out to go see it every time. So there's that, and I honestly think the third one, it's always underrated by people. I think is Captain America: The First Avenger. I think that first Captain America movie is way better than it gets credit for.
Yeah.
I think it's a really, really.
It has a
great
lot
movie.
of heart too.
It does. It has a ton of heart. Anyway, okay, what's next?
CMG 2491 says, okay, I have the perfect Oscar host that checks all the boxes they've been looking for. Good Canadian kid himself, Ryan Reynolds. He's hilarious. And, oh, here it is. And he's great friends with all the greats in the industry, including song and dance man himself, Hugh Jackman. You're ready. You're welcome, Academy.
I said about a year ago. Now, the best thing on Twitter the last 5 years has been the fake beef between Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. It's the best thing on Twitter.
So funny.
I said about a year ago, well, first of all, if you're going to do a new Face Off reboot, it's got to be Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. I just think that's it right there. But if you're going to do, you could have Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds host the Oscars together. There you go.
That's perfect.
It is perfect. Those two guys hosting, because obviously Hugh's got experience doing it. Their dynamic and chemistry, they could, and it has not gotten tired at all. You could
No.
drag that through the whole thing of them talking shit about each other
Check all
during
the boxes. They check all the
It
boxes.
checks all the boxes. I love that idea. I really do. All right, what's next?
Ladslav Misanek says, theaters open on Saturday here in Slovakia. Finally get to see Spider-Man. Valkyrie makes sense from Nordic lore. They take the worthy to Valhalla.
Oh, that's good to know. Okay, so it's kind of based in some mythology there. But listen, hey, so glad because look, a number of our film loving brothers and sisters across the world have not had a chance to see Spider-Man. Obviously, Norway. A lot of people didn't get a chance to see it there. There's some places in Canada that the theaters are all closed. Some other countries too. The fact that a lot of you guys are going to get a chance to finally see and get caught up with the movie that all of us have enjoyed so much is great. So I'm glad for that, man. Thanks for sharing that. All right, what's next?
Orlando Orego says, so I saw Eternals last night and I liked the film. Very beautifully shot. Only issue was the lighting from some action sequences in the woods. Wish I saw it in theaters.
I mean, it's always better to watch a movie in theaters. It's always
I agree.
is. I don't love Eternals. There are things about Eternals that I love. But overall, I think it's a really good installment into the MCU hierarchy because it's just such a different kind of film, much higher stakes. I enjoyed the movie a lot, even though I don't completely love it. I think you liked it even more than I did.
Yeah, I mean, I really did love the movie, and the cosmology of it all. Where does it leave the MCU?
Yeah.
When the world has seen a giant celestial that's twice the size of the Earth in the sky, what does that do to your worldview?
Yeah.
Like if you're a religious person, how do you feel about seeing a celestial?
You know what I would love is a show that has no heroes in it except for off in the distance, and it's just us. How does this look
I've thought
to
about
us?
that.
How does it look to
It's
the guy?
called Invasion. It's the name of the show. That's kind of what it is.
But how do normal people, like there's a comic, one of the great Marvel comics of all time is called Marvels. Alex Ross painted it, and it's from the point of view of a regular person dealing you would love it.
By the
It's
way,
one of the
get
great
into
comics
that.
of all time.
Marvels. I'm going to get into
Marvel.
that.
In that vein, from Tick Tick Boom, the girl who sings the "I Feel Bad,"
Vanessa Hudgens.
Vanessa Hudgens. She had a show called Powerless.
Powerless.
She had a show on NBC, ran one season called Powerless, and it had Funches was in that, wasn't he? And one of the guys from Community, I'm forgetting the name of the one who was best friends with trying to remember the
With
character's
Donald
name.
Glover's character?
Yes, with Donald, I can't, but you know
Troy and Abed? Troy and Abed in the morning.
So the guy who played Abed, right?
Abed.
He's in the show too, and it tells a story about the world of DC. And, you know, they're the superheroes and villains in the world, and they all work. These people, these powerless people, they all work at this Star Labs competitor, where they develop products for superheroes and for the average people in the world to protect themselves from superhero battles. And like every day in the news report, like 3 people died today when when the Aquaman crashed into a building while he was fighting Black Manta, and it fell down and crushed these people.
That's what I'm talking about. I'd
A
love
lot
to
of
see
people
that.
hated the show. To me, the best thing about it was, why am I freezing on the name of the guy who plays the pilot in Serenity? And he's in Resident Alien. Alan Tudyk. So Alan Tudyk plays Bruce Wayne's idiot younger cousin, Van Wayne, and he runs this company. He's their boss.
Oh.
Almost everybody hated the show. Ann and I loved it.
I loved it too.
That sounds something I'd really
I
get
was
into.
I was so sad when it got
when they didn't
canceled.
renew it, we actually reported that they weren't doing that season.
Yeah, I love that show. I thought it was great. Anyway, and I like Vanessa Hudgens.
Marvel
All right.
Comics has a team like that too, like Damage Control.
Damage Control.
They were going to do a show about that. They were going to do a
they
Damage
were.
Control show. All right, what's next?
This is from Guillaume Labelle. He says, I know who should host the Oscars, you and Harloff. Before getting into Best Picture nominations, shave yourself. That's right. Oscars 22, brought to you by Manscaped.
Yeah, that would be something if Harloff and I tried to host the Oscars. Of course, nobody would watch, but that would give us a lot of freedom to
That
do
would
whatever
be
we wanted
pretty
to do
funny.
that
That would be
nobody would
funny.
watch. All right, what's next?
Rachel Knight Online says, Tracksuit Mafia's favorite date movie, The Bro Book. Or the Broach Book. You'd have to say the Broach Book.
No.
No, you know what?
No. All right, what's next?
Jacob Hirsch says, Jane is a variant of Thor.
No,
No.
they're not going to go that way at all. They've already kind of explained that a bit, so I don't expect them to go that way at all. All right, what's next?
Orlando Orrego says, I have to say, I liked the Sonic movie. Wonder how the original design would have affected it. Oh, yeah. Remember? when
None.
People
Look.
were like, nope, change it.
At the end of the day, it would have made no difference. The redesign looks better.
It does look better.
It does look better. The lines would have been exactly the same. What happens in the movie would have been exactly the same. The jokes would have been exactly the same. Everything else. The new design looked better.
Yeah.
Way cuter.
I think I would have enjoyed the movie every bit as much if they didn't do a redesign. I just don't see it. It doesn't make it suddenly go like his eyes are this big as opposed to this big. That doesn't change it from, well, this was a good movie to, oh, that was a bad movie. It's the same thing.
They
So
just sold more toys. That's
they
it.
probably got to sell more toys though. Yeah. That's probably true. That's probably one of the big differences. All right, what's next?
Casey Mack says, another series that was a surprise when COVID started was Raised by Wolves. Well, the second trailer for season 2 has come out and it looks great.
I got to tell you, I'm going to be in the minority here. I thought Raised by Wolves was a waste of time. I was starting to get into it, like the whole mythology they were building. Then it got to the end and like the giant things, and we're going through this. And I'm like, what? Then they started saying, oh, it's actually like a god thing. And then I'm like, no, I felt like I was not paid. It didn't, but when I got around to the end of the season, I didn't know my investment here wasn't paid off. At least that's how I felt. How did you like
I
it?
enjoyed it, but I want to know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
It seemed like there was a number of different competing ideas, but I thought I liked the mood that it cast.
Yes.
And I found it very interesting and compelling to watch, but I'm like, where is this all going? Season 2, I will tune in. It looks interesting to me.
What did you think about the finale of season 1 though? Because it kind of made me want to jump off the boat.
In a
altogether.
way, not what I expected. I mean, spoiler alert, but the giving birth to a winged creature. Like, what? I mean, I kind of get it, but okay.
Yeah, all right.
How does that work with the rest of what you've been telling?
Yep. All right, what's next?
Al Renshaw said, "What would a Chef Pleasures movie get rated?"
Oh,
NC-17.
NC-17. For too much deliciousness.
Rated Ray.
Rated
I don't know. Whatever.
Rated Ray.
The bro book.
Now you know it's the bro, but now you know it's getting serious. All right, what's next?
Jack Graham says, "Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Paul and the End and the World End. Which is the best Simon Pegg and Nick Frost movie?"
Paul, take that right off the list.
Yeah,
I was really excited for Paul.
me too.
Paul was not good. So we'll take that out. It's got to be Shaun of the Dead.
Agreed.
I mean, I like Hot Fuzz. I like
did
World's
like Hot
End.
Fuzz.
World's End is really good too.
That one was good too.
Yeah, you got a James Bond in Hot Fuzz.
yeah, I mean, but I think Shaun of the Dead worked the best
Absolutely.
because, the other two, I thought Shaun of the Dead was it worked both as a parody, but it was also a great movie on its own.
It was a great horror and it was a great comedy.
Yeah.
By the way, did anybody watch that Nick Frost, Simon Pegg supernatural show they did where like there were supernatural hunters? I never got around to watching it. I love these guys.
Someone suggested it in the chat. I just forgot about it.
Yeah, I totally forgot
what's
about
it
it.
played on anyways.
I think it was Hulu. I can't
Yeah.
When he
remember
was like
the
an
difference.
angel and the devil or something like that.
No. You're thinking of Michael.
Omens.
Oh, sorry, I'm thinking
Sheen.
Michael Sheen.
Good
I always
Omens.
get him and Sam Pegg. Yeah, I
Yeah,
always get
so-
them mixed up.
Oh, there you go. All right, what's next?
Brandon Blake says, "We are nearly halfway through Book of Pacifist Fett
Pacifist.
and his adventures of making friends across the galaxy.
Boba Friends.
Need to get going here with this plot, in my opinion."
Hey, that's okay. 3 points in Hufflepuff. That's pretty
really
good.
funny.
Pacifist an adventure of making friends across the galaxy. I like that. All right, what's next?
All right, Al Renshaw says, "I think Boba will need reinforcements for impending battle/war. Maybe Mando, Baby Yoda, or even Luke showing up."
I don't think any of those. I mean, that's a possibility. I don't think any of those. Don't forget, he's got him. I think Black Kirstan is gonna. I know I'm mispronouncing his name. I think he's obviously coming back.
Yeah, BK.
So he's got big BK. That's what we'll call
Oh,
him.
that's what that says. That's his name. When you told me to look it up the other day, that's
Right.
one of the.
So I think we're gonna see him come back and fight alongside the Vespa gang's gonna be there. Nobody wants to mess with the Vespa gang. He's got him.
All you have
Fennec.
to do is outrun them.
He's got his Grimorians there. So I don't know, but who knows? Maybe that's the unsubstantiated rumored Han Solo thing. I mean, I don't know. It's possible. All right, what's next?
Daya Al Shahor says, "Buy one, rent one, lose one. Return of the King, Godfather 2, and Shawshank Redemption."
No, I gotta take a push. These are like these to me are. I mean, two of them are the greatest films of all time. All of them are some of the greatest films of all time. I mean, to me, Star Wars, the first three original Star Wars films, I count as one film's favorite, best ever. Godfather 2 is arguably, for a lot of people, the greatest film ever. Shawshank Redemption is on an awful lot of top 10 of all time lists.
Oh, yeah.
Including mine. Which, by the way, I just finally started watching the new Dexter. Just started watching, and who shows up in episode 2? Clancy Brown. The guard shows up there. Speaking of Shawshank Redemption, so I got to take a push. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I
say
mean,
lose any
those
of
are
them.
all three fantastic films. So
like all
I'll do
time.
it. I'll do it.
All right, here it comes.
Buy one is gonna be Return of the King. Rent one is Shawshank, and the other one is Godfather 2. Because I haven't seen it,
That's
and
it,
I
I'm
know
out.
it's super
I'm
long,
out.
probably.
Only one of these three films. Only one of these three films, by the way, didn't win Best Picture. And that was Shawshank.
but it was nominated.
It was nominated, and and that's the funny thing. The movie it lost to is always under Shawshank Redemption and any greatest of all time list. It lost to I almost said Bubba Gump, Forrest Gump,
Oh,
which is great.
Tough year.
Forrest Gump is great. You'd be hard pressed to find
1984.
many like legitimate film historians and critics and stuff like that have Forrest Gump above Shawshank Redemption on their list. Shawshank Redemption is one of the truly greatest films of all time. But Return of the King, Godfather 2, both Best Picture winners. So it's so hard. It's
What
so
about
hard.
you, Kim? Can you
What
answer
about
that?
me? buy Shawshank Redemption, rent Return of the King, and lose Godfather 2.
I mean, that's why I can't do it. I can't do any of them. No, I'm not. I cannot say
And I
lose any of
lose
them.
it
Just can't do it.
because it's in my heart.
All right, what's next?
Thanks. Hugo Alonso says, "Hey, John and team, love the show and watch whenever I can. In the new Flash movie, what if we Pattinsons and Bale's Batmans make an appearance in the film? Which would be DC's version of Spider-Verse?"
That's oddly worded. What if we, Pattinson's and Bale's Batmans, make an appearance in the film, which would be DC's version of Spider-Verse? Well, here's the thing. Whenever you ask a what if question, make sure you actually put a question in there. Because what if Pattinson and Bale's Batman shows up? Well, Pattinson and Bale's Batman shows up. That's the answer. If you're asking, do I think that would be good? Sure, it ain't going to happen. You're not going to see Christian Bale as Batman.
Plus, I mean, what purpose would that serve in the story? I mean, I think the great thing about No Way Home is that the addition of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man inform Tom Holland and as they inform each other.
Right, yeah.
And it really worked well.
All right, what's next?
Mohammed Usman says, "Theory, instead of Michael Keaton coming to the DCEU, Jim Gordon and Batgirl end up in the Burtonverse."
Interesting thought. They're absolutely not doing that. They're 100% not doing that. So I would, but I mean, that would be a funny thing. Look, they're never going to return. The Batman films were great in their era. They're not films that transfer eras very well. There are some films that can transfer eras easily, some not. I think it's pretty safe to say that the Michael Keaton Batman films are not ones that transfer eras well. So that's kind of my thought on that. All right, what's next?
Stiff Meister says, "Peacemaker or Book of Steven Seagal?" Sorry, Boba Fett.
Haven't watched Peacemaker yet. I'm looking forward to watch. I hope it's better than Book of Boba Fett. I hope it is. I got some hopes for it here. I really do, because I loved Peacemaker in Suicide Squad. Let's see how this thing does. We'll talk about it on the show tomorrow. All right, what's next?
Ulatan says, "A fun question. If a movie audience from the 1930s was brought to present day, how would they react to modern day special effects and stories?"
I kid you not.
I think about it all the time.
I do too. I think about it
That's
all
always
the
on my
time.
mind.
All the time. I watch like I watch any movie like with visual effect. I'm like, what if my dad, when he was a teenager, saw this? Like, first of all, most of CGI, he would say, well, then how did they? What's the joke in Shang-Chi? How they train those monkeys to ride that horse? Right? That would be my dad. Like, my dad, as a teenager, would be, where did they find that creature to do that? Like, that. Wait, they actually went to outer space to shoot this? Like, that would be my dad and all of our dads.
What's outer space?
What is outer space? That would be.
Going through a depression here, and you're making these multi-million-dollar
Come on,
movies.
Pat.
But that is a good question. I mean, the perception of
all the time.
I guess it would seem like magic. You know, that
Yeah.
old Arthur C. Clarke quote that any sufficiently advanced technology appears as magic to people that don't understand the technology.
Yeah.
There's a comedian that did a skit on it, Nick Swartzen, remember?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was like, oh, what if people from back then saw Transformers? You'd be like, like
Yeah,
they'd start
no,
screaming and running for
It's
their
like,
lives.
how did they build that truck that turns into a walking, talking robot? I mean, it would appear. I mean, it's kind of the line from Thor as well, right? Well, you call science, we call math. To us, it's one and the same. Like,
Yeah.
it would be considered complete sorcery.
But I have to say, if you're still blessed to have your grandparents here with you and they're not like movie buffs or something, ask them, because their responses are so precious. I remember my grandmother, she used to say, "Wow, that looks so real.
Yeah.
Look at that. Wow." I
As-
miss her.
as-
That's a bad impression. That doesn't sound like her. But
right.
ask your grandparents. It's really cute.
All right, what's next?
Jackmaster Nord says, "There's only one hashtag forever couple. That's John and Ann Campea."
We were
Is
walking.
that how it was written, just like you read it?
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Anne and I, we were walking our dogs last night, and I mentioned her. Did you hear about Jason Momoa and Lisa? She said, "Oh no." She goes, maybe we should just get a divorce. She goes, then we can be in the front page of all these things. I'm like, baby, don't even joke. Like, honestly, listen, true story. This is true. You know, with Anne's work over the years, sometimes she needs to go away to places. Like, she needs to travel to the East Coast for a week at a time. She had to go to Hong Kong for 3 months once.
Holy cow.
Yeah, for work. And stuff like that. And she often would have to make like a week-long trip. And the first day of that trip is always the same. I'm walking around in my underwear. I'm ordering pizza. I'm like, I am the Lord of
Home
this
Alone.
domain.
Home Alone.
Bacheloring up. I'm going to call all my buddies to come over and we're going to watch the footballs and we're going to, right? Day 2, it's a completely different story. Day 2, I start to get, one of my assistants was one of the first people to notice it. When I am apart from Anne for more than 24 hours, I start to get moody. Like I get grumpy when I'm not around Anne for like, she's just become such an integral part of my life. John, that's called codependence. Well, maybe it is, but I don't function well.
Wow.
Like emotionally.
And he can't cook anything for himself.
No, it's just Ray, go to the store, pick me up something.
Yeah, I become the babysitter.
He does.
What are you making tonight, Ray?
He kind of becomes
Well,
the
I guess that's
babysitter.
my dinner too.
He hugs you tighter. He starts hugging on you.
You're all the way in LA.
Brother, let me hug you.
I kid you not. Listen, Ray also has like, not only can Ray cook better than me, Ray has way better fashion sense than me. So a lot of times Ann and I, like when we still lived in Burbank, we come out and visit and hang out. And I go, hey, that's a nice looking jacket. And Ray just like, just take it.
I know.
I take so many of his clothes.
Every time I beam something, I'm like, here, just come on.
Because he has way better fashion sense than me. Like way better. So I'm like, can I take? Yeah, just take it.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. That was a side story for too long. All right, what's next?
Sweet. Wiley Todd says, Scream predictions tonight. Ray will love it and John will hate it. Hopefully not.
That's usually the case.
Or it could be the opposite.
It could be the opposite.
It could be, you might hate it and I might love it. You might be like, I just woke up 5 minutes before the end. I didn't think the end made any sense. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's, yeah, we'll find out. We will find out tonight. Keep an eye on the channel later. What's next?
Elizabeth Gerardo says, my forever couples are Reynolds and Lively
Yeah.
and Blunt and Krasinski.
I shouldn't. I'll say this. First of all, Blunt and Krasinski, that's another one I hope is a forever couple.
I sure hope so.
Yeah. Ooh.
Reynolds and I have written back and forth to each other a couple times. And all I will say is that the way he talks about Blake Lively is really sweet.
Oh, wow.
This is a dude that is like totally loves his family. And the way, like, we'll just be talking about some things. Like, I remember one time he had done this one thing. This is about a year ago. He had done this one thing that was in the news about this humanitarian thing that they had done and whatever. And I remember I wrote to him and said, hey, dude, like, way to do the Maple Leaf proud, man. Like, seriously, so proud of you, blah, blah, blah. And all he did was, like, in his runs, just talk about Lively. He just talked about Blake, about what she did and blah, blah. And it's like, it's incredibly sweet. Like, it's really, to hear how he talks about his wife is actually really, really super sweet. Anyway, there's that. All right, what's next?
Aw. Sin Vendetta says, hi, John and Ray. A friend and I will be seeing Scream tonight at the AMC Tyler, which is our primary theater. May run into you two tonight.
Maybe.
Hope you both enjoy the movie.
Yeah,
tonight.
that's obviously when Ann and I, before we moved into our house, we lived in Burbank, and our go-to theater is the AMC Burbank 16. Now that we live out here, our go-to theater is the AMC Tyler Galleria. It's a really nice. This is where we went to go
Oh,
to
yeah,
did our
that's where we did
Spider-Man
our
thing.
Spider-Man.
It's a really nice theater.
Nice.
It's a nice little theater. They don't have as good of a bar as the one in Burbank 16 does, but a nice little theater, and that's kind of our go-to one. And maybe we will run into you there, Sin Vendetta. Make sure you say hi if you do. All right, what's next?
Casey Mack says, I fully expect Aquaman to move. No way this release is on the same weekend as Avatar 2.
Yeah.
Still waiting to hear about that date getting
Whether
moved.
it actually comes out. I mean,
Oh my
they've
God.
bumped that so much.
I was looking forward to going swimming that weekend.
I know. So much water, man.
You know, I was
A lot of water in those two movies. put
swimming on
together.
Pandora.
All right,
Looking
what's
forward
next?
to it.
Andy says, all the women of the world are excited that Jason Momoa is single again.
Yeah.
Not most, all the women.
My
That
82-year-old
man-
And a
mom
lot
texted
of
me.
men too.
That man
And a
was,
lot of men too.
was truly burdened with glorious sexiness.
A true story. All right. So Ann and I, we go to the world premiere of Jason's Conan movie. And it was in downtown LA.
He had a Conan movie?
Yeah, he was Conan the Barbarian.
Yep.
What?
Yeah, with Stephen Lang as the bad guy.
That would have been the fourth movie, right? Or the third?
It was a reboot. It was a
Go
reboot.
ahead. It doesn't matter.
So the after party was in the top floor of this tall building right next to the theater. And I think Wolfgang Puck actually catered the after party. So Ann and I are hanging out at the after party, and Ann's walking in front of me, and we go around this corner and literally bump into Momoa. And Jason grabs her hand, says, "I'm so sorry, please excuse me," the way he would say it. And Ann, I don't even know if she responded, because when I kind of corked my head around like this to see her face, she was just, I'm like, yeah, okay, we got to move on. So then I go and talk to Jason the next day to do press. And I just remember sitting down with him, and I go, Jason. He just goes, "John." And I remember thinking to myself, I am as boringly heterosexual as they come, and fuck, I found that sexy. Just the way he said my name. I said, "Hey, Jason." He goes, "John." And I'm like, what's going on? Like,
He knows what he's doing.
he knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing.
He was
I have
about to recreate Broback Mountain.
Bro, listen, I'll tell you what. I'm friend with a bunch of publicists. One of the female publicists for one of the studios, she and I were talking about Momoa, and she goes, I'm like he's got a lot of sex appeal. She goes, "You have no idea." And I'm like, she goes, when he comes to, because he had to go once a month or two, he'd go into the studio offices. When he comes in the offices, now remember, this is a female publicist who said this, not me. She's like, when he walks into the room, panties hit the floor. I'm like, okay, that's all I needed to hear. And because these people are around these big, sexy movie stars all the time. Jason Momoa is one of those stupid, him, Javier Bardem, Brad Pitt, like Michael B. Jordan, like guys like this. These are the types of guys that get me angry, because there's only there's only so much sexiness in the universe, and when guys like these fuckers get that much of it, it just means there's a little bit less for the rest of us. It's just what it is. What it is.
There's no one that looks like him too. He has
No
a
one looks
combination
like
of
him.
everything.
Yeah.
Like, right?
I hope he
got
finds a real woman though. Like, you know,
Are you
a
referring
real
to
one.
yourself by any stretch? Like, is there any possibility that by real woman you mean Kim? Is that what we're
Jason.
saying here?
Someone's
You
waiting.
have to put your name in the hat. I mean, he's available now.
Hey.
No, just kidding. I'm kidding.
You
No, but
miss
there's-
100% of the shots you don't take.
Just saying. No, just kidding. No, but there's so many hoes out there. I hope he finds a real girl.
Wow. There you go. There's the girl side.
Wow. So many hoes.
Whoa.
And where is this exact location? Maybe do I need to book a flight to? Because
Oh boy.
All right.
how many are we talking? 1, 2? It's a big world. I haven't ran into anything like that. Is there like some whole island?
Oh, island.
We just sold a TV
No,
show.
I'm
There you
really
go.
asking. If there's a lot of hoes, I want to be there. I just
This
want to
week
check it
on
out.
Ho Island, Ray Ora meets the girl of his
On
dreams.
Fox. Oh, Island.
No, on Cockmax.
All right, I'm
It's
sorry.
our first show. It's our
Okay.
debut, or it's our network debut.
We still have a lot to do. Let's keep
We are a
going.
hot mess altogether. Okay.
Oh, Island.
John Redcorn said, "You want to know why Rob is right about the state of Star Trek? Has anything Star Trek won a Kids' Choice Award? None right exactly. JJ should be ashamed."
I mean, that's
Bravo,
that's the measure.
bravo.
Have you won? And they haven't won any Kids' Choice. I mean, how can you take yourself seriously if you haven't won any Kids' Choice awards? All right, what's next?
Stubble McShave says, "What do you think of the Vox Machina Red Band trailer? I've always been aware of Critical Role and even seen a few short clips. I'm fascinated of how, let me find the second one, they made a success of a small home game, evolved into a successful streaming show, had a Kickstarter over $11 million and have Prime offer deal."
Look, what they have been able to do with their business is inspirational. Absolutely inspirational. I have
Agreed.
not seen this. I have not seen this trailer. Have you watched this?
No, I've seen the trailer, but I haven't watched the show.
Okay, right. So I don't understand the trailer, but yes, what these guys have been able to do and the way they've been able to make this business.
It's really cool.
It's nothing short of inspirational. It really is. It's absolutely amazing what these guys have done. All right, what's next?
Thanos says Aquaman underwater SFX will be great, but Avatar 2 will make them look like a 2000s video game cutscene.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. Listen, whatever you think about James Cameron, and never doubt James Cameron, even though I think 3D is a hokey gimmick, and James Cameron, in a time when we are getting desensitized to just how good visual effects are, James Cameron pushes the boundaries of visual effects.
He always has.
He does things visually that astound everybody. So I don't care if it was a Star Wars movie coming out the same time as that. His visual effects will put whatever other movie comes out's visual effects to shame. So yeah, put money on it now. The underwater effects in Avatar 2. Aquaman may end up being the better movie. Could. But the underwater effects, I will put real money that the underwater effects in Avatar 2 will be better than the ones in Aquaman 2. Rob, what do you think, Rob?
I think absolutely. But also, there'll be different kinds of effects.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
Cameron's going to go for realism, where the Aquaman visual effects embrace that fantasy realm.
Right.
So I don't think Avatar-esque effects would really work in Aquaman. If you were going for that kind of realistic verisimilitude, it wouldn't be as fun.
All right. What's next?
Suthius says, I just hope Rodriguez doesn't direct anymore.
I agree. Look, I think at best, and I have a lot of respect for Rodriguez. He's done some great things.
Yeah.
But I also think he is a hit and miss director. And this world with Star Wars and him don't seem to mix, at least from what we've seen from 2 episodes, because I haven't liked his episodes either. All right, what's next?
Andy says, my favorite celebrity couple I thought was going to make it was Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner.
Yeah.
They had such awesome and cute chemistry.
When those two broke up, I lost a little bit of faith in the world. I really did. I thought they were a great couple. I remember, because I love Ben Affleck and I love Jennifer Garner. And they just seemed to be, she seemed to be the perfect balance for him. I still think, look, I think he blew that marriage. And I think he says publicly, he's the one who undermined it. He's the one who ruined that marriage. And that's really too bad, because I thought she was perfect for him. But whatever. We're not there. We don't see everything. We're just going by the stupid tabloid stuff. But yes, that one broke my heart, man, when that one broke up. All right, what's next?
Suthius says he could have just used his jetpack to end the chase.
Look, there's a lot of things in Book of Boba Fett that could have just done this.
Yeah.
And it would solve a lot of things. All right, what's next?
Suthius says, let me ask the gang to join, but not Chrysanthemum.
Yeah, it's like, okay, go ahead, leave. I'll hire these kids. It's like, hey, man, you can clearly fight. If you're looking for somebody to work for, come work for me. No, you go run through the desert. You go have some fun.
Plus, hire them with what? Like, it's not like, does he have money coming in all of a sudden? I mean,
probably a big treasury at Jabba's palace.
I guess. But
Promise of water.
Yeah, all the water. He runs the town. I mean, he don't. But
Does he though?
Yeah.
like, have we seen that? Like, do people pay him tribute? I mean, we did see them
he's
come
so
in the first episode.
He's trying to get that.
Here's your
That's
tribute.
That's the whole thing. He's
Yeah.
trying to get that respect, but he's doing it in a peacemaker fashion.
The
He's
Rancor
the
was a
real
nice gift. I'll give the Hutts that. The Rancor was a nice gift.
It was a nice gift.
All right, what's next?
Dante Serechia says, hey guys, I agree with everything on the Boba review, but water is literally the most expensive and valuable thing on the planet next to a starship.
Yes, but even on Tatooine, if you can afford, first of all, from an aesthetic point of view and a design point of view, on the world of Tatooine, where everything is dust and brown and gray, all of a sudden throwing in the Vespa gang with these multicolored bikes, like that's just a bad aesthetic choice. And if you're somebody on that planet that can, while everybody else is living in these little mud huts with these just drab, torn robes, and everybody else on this planet has that, and they have water because they're alive. If you're one of these kids where you have these super expensive cybernetic implants and enhancements, and you're driving around on these Vespas and all this kind of stuff, y'all can afford a glass of water.
But yeah, and it's also, how do you wash those and keep them?
How do you keep those Vespa bikes
every
so
time
clean?
they
They
go
were
somewhere,
so
they're gonna
nice.
kick up.
They
They're
were
gonna kick
so
up
nice.
dust. I mean, do you go to the Vespa car wash, and that's like the exclusive
Houdini!
place for
Yeah, and
rich kids?
the
I mean,
Jawas, little side
do
hustle.
you go to Anchorhead or Toshi Station to
I'm
pick
not
up
saying
some-
they would have bought a trucker full of, like a big tanker full of water. They just, we had to pay him the stapler. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, what's next?
Chips Bewick says, talk about if a Batman reboot can survive without using Joker and which villains can bring as much or more hell. Plus, danger of Joker being a crutch.
Nah, Joker is just synonymous with Batman. And they don't need a Joker to make a Batman movie work. Like, not at all. They can do it. And as far as what villain can they bring that will bring as much hell? Any of them. I never would think Riddler can. But watching the trailers for the Batman, they've written this Riddler in such a way that he's bringing hell to Batman.
No one's been talking about Paul Dano. We're all talking about
we
Pattinson.
will.
And you know what?
Yeah.
Paul
See the movie,
Dano is one of my favorite actors, and he is going to bring it. I guarantee.
He's going to kill this
Colin
role.
Farrell
Yes.
is the Penguin, certainly, as we've seen a lot more of him
God,
in those
he looks
trailers.
I
good in
forget it
this.
because he just doesn't even look like
No,
himself.
it's amazing.
Okay.
It's amazing. That
So good.
upside down shot is so cool.
And our grandparents would have said, how did he get so fat for that? Because they just didn't have the kind of prosthetics that would look that real. All right, what's next?
A. Marcellus says, the whole Vespa gang thing gave me the same vibes as Canto Bite.
Don't disagree.
They both feel like they belong in Earth's future or the Fifth Element. They don't feel like Star Wars at all.
I agree. And first of all, and I think part of that is because it felt so out of place on Tatooine.
Right.
Like if we saw that bike gang riding around in the under streets of Coruscant, probably would have fit right in. This was like completely not a fit.
And I didn't believe that those characters would replace their limbs with droid parts. Like I just didn't believe in that environment. In Coruscant, I could see it happening, but on Tatooine, like where's your surgeon? Well, let's go to the plastic surgery place that replaces my limbs with droid parts. I mean, who's going to do that
On Tatooine.
on that environment? Yeah.
You'd have to have a lot of money to do it. All right, what's next?
Jordan Marshall says, my God, how do you make a speed chase so slow? Well, Boba Fett managed to do so.
He did, which kind of sucks. All right, what's next?
Stefan Dalent Waters says, I honestly love the Vespa-like bikes in Boba Fett. Vespa is iconic, and seeing a futuristic version of the brand was fun. Okay.
Okay, sure. I mean, hey, listen, it's all subjective. You watched and thought, you know what? Look, I'll give it this. It was different.
Yeah.
We've never seen something like that before. I guess the Vespas are slower.
Well, I guess because we've seen so many different iterations of speeder bikes.
True. Yeah,
And
you
they're
want something a
cool.
little different?
Swoop bikes, speeder bikes. These didn't look like Star Wars bikes. They look like Vespas. It looked like something out of Quadrophenia.
Yeah.
Elon Musk is in Star Wars then. That's probably what it is. He designed these bikes.
It just felt too earthbound to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, then it was so slow and the effects did not look right. But hey, man, listen, if you enjoyed them, awesome. I wish I enjoyed them too. Okay, guys, listen. That's all of the live ones you guys sent in during the Super Chats. We're going to move over now. We still got some time to take some of the questions you guys sent in via the tip link. But before we get to that, we're going to take a short little break here for a couple of minutes, give ourselves a chance to stretch our legs, refill our drinks, give you guys a chance to talk amongst yourselves, run, use the bathroom, grab a bite to eat, whatever it is you got to do. So hang tight, everybody. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. And we are back. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your patience and indulgence. We took a little bit of a break there. But now let's get on over to the tips that you guys were sending in for the questions to be read here on the show. Once again, if you're not watching the show live and you want to send in a question to be read on the show or in an upcoming companion video, simply click on the tip link that's down in the description of this video or enter it in manually at www.streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. You'll be getting your comment or question read on a show if, of course, we deem them appropriate to be used on our show. And of course, you'll be supporting the channel at the same time. And all of us here at the John Campea Show, thank you guys so much for your support. Okay, Kim, let's get over to it. What are people writing in?
Okay, this is coming from Jonathan. Boba went from boring to great back down to mediocre. Very inconsistent. And what WTF is Boba hiring a bunch of punk teens? When does Mando return? I'm starting to miss him, even if Grogu won't be in it as much.
I mean, hey, worst case scenario, this is going to make us really appreciate Mandalorian season 3 when it comes back. I mean,
We hope.
We hope. All right, what's next?
Jonathan says Boba has a freaking jetpack, but employs his gang of teens to chase after someone. WTF, man. And the flashbacks are more distraction than essential. Oh, God, bring back Mando.
I have not enjoyed the Tusken flashbacks, but again, I will say, give credit where it's due. The payoff of that, which was not worth 3 episodes of it, but still, the payoff that when he comes back and the Tuskens are all dead, that had emotional impact on me. It was my favorite. I think it was my favorite moment of the entire series so far, to be honest with you. All right, what's next?
Miles says, just wondering, I hate Rise of Skywalker, but what do you think of the Palpatine scenes for me? Scenes. For me, I think the throne room scene in episode 6 is better, but Palpatine in episode 9 is probably the best I've ever seen him, even more than the originals. Just so creepy.
I'm going to disagree with you. I mean, obviously the Palpatine we get in Return of the Jedi and the throne room scene, that is the basis of which all of our understanding of Palpatine really is and comes from. Rise of Skywalker. Somehow Palpatine has returned. Those words written on screen is one of the most dumbfoundingly stupid things I've ever seen done in any movie. Somehow, the whole question would be, how is the return of the Palpatine return is a huge jux here. That's a main thing. You can't just say, by the way, Palpatine's back. Say, somehow Palpatine's returned. Let's move on.
You think they'll do a Disney Plus show to fill in the gap?
No. Nobody cares anymore. They've run that into the ground. I mean, it's kind of like making a movie about it and saying, somehow Hitler has returned. Well, no, you got to give us a little bit more than that. You got to give us a little bit more.
It's nonsensical.
Oh, it's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
It's like saying it was all a dream, but worse.
Yeah.
It makes
but
no sense.
worse. All right, what's next?
Not Kevin Feige says, after watching No Way Home twice, I got COVID.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Which annoys me because I remember most people not wearing their masks. All I want to say is take care of yourselves. We are not out of this yet.
Here's the problem. People are generally incredibly self-centered and selfish. So I don't want to wear a mask. Well, listen, there is a possibility that maybe you don't have it, and you might spread it to somebody who might not react to it as well as you did. Wear a mask. I mean, we're not going to get into the full discussion here, though. But I'm just saying, yeah, you're right. You probably got it from somebody because somebody else wasn't acting responsibly, which really sucks. But hey, man, speedy recovery to you. Hope you do well. And thanks for writing in. All right, what's next?
Island Boy says, possible confession time, John. You were speaking about putting Dexter on pause because Anne had a class. Question is, have you ever since being with Anne sneaked and watched a movie/series episode you were not supposed to watch together? No lying allowed. LOL.
Yep. And Ann knows. Ann knows. And Ann got appropriately peeved at me. But it was like, oh, honey, I couldn't wait we waited so long. I got to watch the show. Has not happened often, but it has happened once or twice. All right, what's next?
Sam Weiser Gamgee says, this low-hanging fruit has been there since the other day when you were talking about Anne's previous job. What is the Tracksuit Mafia's favorite toy company? Hasbro.
Hasbro.
Thank you very much. Elvis has left the building.
Okay,
that was good.
Hasbro. See, that fits.
I always look at Rob every time a bro.
That was good.
I don't know if I can laugh or not.
You can laugh at that one. I give you permission. That was good.
Love you, Fantastic Four, and bring on the filthy.
Thank you so much. Hasbro. I'll give you that one. All right, what's next?
Den H says, hi, John. Recently discovered your show and loving it. Regarding is Tom Holland funny enough to host the Oscars? He can always get tips from his dad, Dominic Holland, who is a successful stand-up.
I did not know that. But look, the key thing is this. When it
cool.
comes to the Oscars, let's face it, there's a team of 8 probably very skilled writers that are going to write his material. Can Tom Holland deliver it? I believe he can deliver it. And then if they have dance numbers like honoring the big musical, listen, we've had In the Heights, we've had West Side Story, which I think is the best film of the year. We've had like musical, like
Tick, Tick, Boom.
Tick Tick Boom, something like Encanto. We had, like,
Encanto
they could
is
do a
so
big
good.
song and dance number, and Tom Holland will kill it.
Yeah.
Pete Davidson will not. I still like Pete Davidson. Okay, what's next?
Alan Ling says, "Hey, John, do you think PG-13 is a sufficient rating for making a Batman movie? Or do you think the idea of an R-rated Batman should be explored? Saw this being discussed somewhere, and I wanted to get your take. Thanks, and hope you're all well."
Thanks a lot for sending that in, Alan. And obviously, we covered that as the main topic here today. Just to quickly summarize, can you do a sufficient Batman movie with PG-13? Do you not consider The Dark Knight sufficient? The Dark Knight, considered by many to be the greatest comic book film of all time. Not me, but I'd say the majority of people probably think it's the best comic book movie ever made. And it is a PG-13 film. That kind of answers the question. I don't believe, look, you should explore all options. You should explore making Batman rated G. You should explore it. But there is no need whatsoever to do Batman rated R. There's just no need for it. So I think PG-13 is the right way to go. But again, I defer you, Alan. By the way, Alan, you tipped in like $20. Thank you for supporting our channel on that level, man. I would defer you back to earlier in the show today. You can watch our full discussion on that. But yeah, I think you can absolutely. And every look of this trailer, which is all PG-13, looks sufficiently dark enough to truly be a great Batman movie. We'll find out. All right, what's next?
Maria Espino says, as awards start to publish their nominations, I keep seeing major snubs for Adam Driver. What are your thoughts on his 3 eligible films and his performance on them? Annette, The Last Duel, and House of Gucci. Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
You have to understand my definition of snub. I think snub is a far too overused and liberally used word when it comes to award season. The only way I think you should use the word snub is if somebody, you can make a definitive argument that they should win that category. If you can't make a definitive argument that they should win that category, then it's not really a snub if they don't get nominated. I thought Adam Driver was great in The Last Duel. I thought Adam Driver was great in The House of Gucci. Do I feel like he's been snubbed? No. When you compare his performance to, say, the performance of Andrew Garfield in Tick Tick Boom, I think Andrew Garfield's performance was this year. I'm not saying Andrew Garfield's a better actor than Adam Driver. I'm not. But I'm saying in the performances this year, Adam Garfield's Tick Tick Boom is clear, to me, clearly the superior performance. If you want to compare him to Denzel Washington in The Tragedy of Macbeth, to me, that's clearly on a different level.
Right.
I mean, so no, I don't feel Adam Driver's getting snubbed. I think he was great this year, but I don't think he's being snubbed. Rob, how would you address
I
that?
don't think so either, and it also has to do with the movie itself too. I mean, I thought he was great in The Last Duel, but The Last Duel's performance, and it's not perceived as being as successful as some other movies, so it doesn't get the kind of attention that it might. But he was great in it, and he could give you the best delivery in the world, but is that going to necessarily, if the film isn't perceived as being worthy, then he doesn't get that nomination.
All right, what's next?
Rogue 3 says, I get that all film is subjective, but do y'all have any guilty pleasures? By that, I mean a movie with flaws that would normally be a personal deal breaker for you, but you love it anyway because there's just something in it you're a sucker for. Thanks.
To me, it all depends on your definition of guilty pleasure. Because to me, guilty pleasure is, I like watching this movie, but for none of the intentions that this movie brought to itself. The great example of that to me is the iconic Cool as Ice of Vanilla Ice. That movie is one of the most enjoyable experiences I ever have watching a film, but it's for none of the reasons that the film actually intended to be there. Like, it is just, I mean, listen, we're having dinner together on Friday, I believe.
I think so.
I'm thinking about, I have been burdened with the responsibility of picking the movie for that night. I am considering making it Cool as Ice. Because you get some adult beverages, some food, and a bunch of people together. That is a damn fun time for all the wrong reasons. So for me, I gotta say Cool as Ice is like my ultimate guilty pleasure. It's a guilty. Do you guys have like one like something everybody hates, but you just
I don't know what I
love
hate.
watching it.
Movies that you know what people don't like this movie. I love Hudson Hawk. People do not like the Bruce Willis movie Hudson Hawk.
Not one of the more popular ones. What's the one with
Tough Turf?
Ultron.
Yeah, Tough Turf.
Tough
with
Turf,
Robert
with
Downey
Robert
Jr.
Downey Jr.
and James Spader. Thing is, I like that. It's not a good movie, but I like it. It was directed by Fritz Kurse, who directed Children of the Corn, but it's not good. But I don't think it's awful either. It's just wacky.
Ray, you got one? You got one that everybody hates?
Well, one that I always watch if it's on, but not a lot of people watch it, is the Employee of the Month with Dane Cook.
I remember that one.
I love that movie for some reason. I don't know why. I just think it's so cute because it's about Costco, Price Club. There's a secret conspiracy in that store.
Of course there is.
Oh, I don't know. But I like that movie.
Kim, what about you?
Oh gosh,
Something that everybody hates that you like?
I can't think of one. Probably Napoleon Dynamite, but
Oh no, a lot
if
of people
you're awesome,
love that
you know
movie.
that's an awesome
Yeah,
movie.
everybody loves that
so-
movie, so that's the count. All right,
I don't
what's
know.
next?
Jay Bling says, here's my biggest pet peeve with Final Destination as a franchise. If the whole point of the film is that death doesn't like to be cheated, why do the promotions happen in the first
Premonitions.
place? Premonitions, I'm sorry. Why do they advertise a movie? How did they do 5 films without answering that question?
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday on the show about how the Final Destination can have some fun, but it's essentially the same movie every time.
Right.
It's the exact same movie every time, and it's like I thought one of them might have started touching on where do these premonitions come from? Who is saving these kids only to be doomed to die again later anyway? And how do you fight that? So I don't know. They're doing now number 6, going straight to HBO. We'll see. We'll see. All right, what's next?
Jack Lumber says, as a fan of Supernatural, do you guys think you'll enjoy the original ending, all the guest stars, or the one that we got with basically just Bobby and the boys? I enjoy the ending, but could have used more guest stars.
I am very satisfied with the ending of Supernatural. I am very, very satisfied with it. Like, first of all, a lot of people kind of consider the second last episode as kind of really the wrapping up of the story, and it really was. But then moving on and doing this kind of thing to wrap up the series, where one of the brothers dies, the other brother goes on, lives a full life, and then at the end, they go to heaven and kind of reunite and stuff like that. It's really good. It didn't need to be to me, it was an appropriate wrap up of that series. They didn't need to make it a best of Memory Lane episode. That could have been fun too. That could have been fun. Like, I would have liked to have seen Crowley, who was one of my favorite characters in the entire series.
Show up.
Now,
Did it run 15 seasons?
15.
And you watched all 15?
I watched all 15. Enjoyed it every step of the way.
Wow.
Yeah, and some seasons were weaker than others, but I loved the characters so much that even in some of the weaker seasons story-wise, I still loved watching it because I got to hang out with the guys.
Didn't the apocalypse happen at the end of like season 4?
No, I think it was season maybe 5 where they stopped the apocalypse because Michael and Lucifer were destined to battle and it was going to like wipe out half of the world, and they had to stop it, and they successfully stop it, and then which could have been a series finale, but then it went on another 11 seasons, and I had a great time all the way through. All right, what's next?
Jonathan says, why are people arguing that the Batman must be rated R? Oh, PG-13 neuters the action. Crybaby fanboy. The Dark Knight was PG-13 and is considered the GOAT of Batman movies. This is ridiculous.
I look, you know what I think. I also think it's ridiculous. Like, look, could they do an R-rated Batman film at some point in some time just to experiment? Sure. But when you look at what they do in the Batman movies that make the Batman movies great, when they are great, none of it involves R-rated stuff. You can do a lot of violent things and be PG-13. And I think we're going to see the very edge of that in the Batman. At least I hope we do. All right, what's next?
Danito says, hey all, was watching Eternals on Disney Plus, and the IMAX format looks amazing, but it kept switching back and forth to 21 and 9, sometimes in the same scene, which was distracting and even nauseating. Do you think it was a good idea for Disney Plus to do this?
Listen, I don't watch it in that format anyway. I'm perfectly happy watching the format that it's in, so I didn't know. That would distract me. Like watching a movie, even sometimes in theaters, they'll have some scenes that are filmed in IMAX and some scenes that weren't. I don't like that. Like, to me, I do find that a little bit jarring. Rob, I know you're bigger into this stuff than me, but do you find that distracting at all?
It doesn't usually distract me because I'm aware of it, but I can see why, because like you said, even in the Dark Knight, they'll have like one IMAX shot that's big and wide, and then it changes back to it can be distracting. It's just, to me, it's a skill. You teach yourself how to watch movies that way, and it's fine. But I would prefer it if you're going to shoot an entire film in IMAX as opposed to alternating aspect ratios.
I agree. What's next?
Mohammed Bakir says, "Hi, John. I completely agree with all your Ewok points.
Yes.
But what you're missing is everything you mentioned are about the idea of the Ewoks and not the execution of them. The problem I have is that the Ewoks were a fantastic idea executed terribly. If they are supposed to be these fearsome creatures, why have them look like little cute teddy bears? I don't buy that these creatures could actually tie up Luke and Han. Making them look stronger and more menacing would have served them much better, especially because it would seem a lot more believable that they could take on armed stormtroopers. Do you at least agree that this would have been better? Also, please bring back dark side, light side. Maybe for Obi-Wan spoiler discussions."
Well, no, that's not going to happen, just to let you know. Just we don't have the time and scheduling for that. I disagree. I don't believe that you have to visually represent something as they are in the movies. I think that's a trope that's far overused. Like, if somebody is a bad guy, they have to look dark and evil for them to be a bad guy.
Right.
If somebody is handsome and charming, well, then they must be a good guy. The whole idea about the Ewoks that George Lucas thing was meant as a juxtaposition of the industrialized world versus the natural world. That was the whole idea of the Ewoks. Now, originally, this concept, it was going to be Kashyyyk, and it was going to be Wookiees that they teamed up with. They went in a different direction. And for me, the Ewoks became incredibly effective as that. This idea of the natural world that were represented in a certain sweet way. But these are also creatures in a species that has survived and thrived in this world. You don't do that without being effective hunters, gatherers, things like that. These and again, the execution, the conclusions I draw about the Ewoks all come from the execution. We know the things we know about the Ewoks because of what they did in that movie. Celebrating on the heads of their fallen enemies, tying up captured prey and burning them alive over an open fire and all that kind of stuff. I mean, these are things we learned from the execution of the movie. And to me, that notion, that juxtaposition that Lucas goes for about the industrialized world versus the natural world, I thought it was incredibly effective. And I thought it worked great. And so, yeah, as I titled, Mohammed, as I titled in my old video that I made like 10 years ago, screw y'all, I love the Ewoks. I love the Ewoks. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for sharing your thoughts, man, and expressing them the way you did. All right, what's next?
Aaron McDonald says, "Hey, from New Zealand. Love your work.
Kia ora.
Can studios add new life to old animated movies like Transformers by reusing the old voice soundtrack and just adding new visuals? The old Transformer movie with the CGI-like Cybertron scenes in Bumblebee would be amazing."
I don't think there's any benefit in that. Just taking the old vocal tracks. I mean, nobody cares. Let's be honest. Nobody cares. There'd be a hardcore, small group of people that go, "Oh, this is great because you're using whatever's voice." The vast majority of the movie-going audience would not. And then what are you doing? You're remaking a new movie and forcing it into this mold created by the previous audio track. It's kind of like when the Rise of Skywalker forced in Princess Leia stuff, and you gotta now force the film to fit around old footage you shot of her, which was a mistake.
Although I'd love to see the Star Trek the animated series from the 70s
brought to life?
reanimated. If they take the vocal tracks, keep it exactly the same, but just reanimate because it was done so cheaply.
It's a creative idea, Aaron. I just don't. I think it's an interesting in concept, but I think when it comes down to executing, it would be rift with problems. So I don't think so. All right, what's next?
Jordan says, "Ewoks may be carnivorous, but they are not dumb. They surely figured out how to ride speeders faster than the Tusken Raiders in episode 2 of Boba Fett rather than episode 6 of Star Wars."
They're hyper. Listen, first of all, the Ewok village is a feat of engineering.
Yeah.
That tree city they built, I mean, these are smart dudes. He said, okay, switch A, this happens. They figured it out. They're highly intelligent, vicious. I mean, look, they figured out, how do we fight an AT-AT? And they figured that shit out fast. Right.
in multiple ways.
Yes.
Tripping it, smashing
Crushing
it between.
it, like all that
Yeah.
kind of, yeah, these are smart little fuckers. I mean, don't mess with the Ewoks. All right, what's next?
Chris says, "Hey, John, love all that you do. Kim, Ray, and Rob do. I always wanted to know why Rob isn't a fan of Star Trek 2009 that J.J. Abrams directed starring Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, and Zoe Saldana. It's what got me into Star Trek back when it was released, and I have since seen the original series and Star Trek The Next Generation and love them. Personally, I prefer Pine to Shatner." But I prefer Nimoy to Quinto. Love them all, though, respectively. I wasn't the biggest fan of Into Darkness, but really enjoyed Star Trek Beyond 2016. To me, both of those films capture the spirit of the original series very well, along with the cast, while also adding something new. Hold on here. Just curious as to why Rob doesn't like them. But even though we may disagree, hope you live long and prosper, as well as you, John, Kim, and Ray. Love you guys.
All right.
I'll take it to Rob. Take it to Rob right now.
Okay. Rob is, as you see, the empty chair over there. Rob
He is
Rob had to pace
gone.
around a little bit.
I wonder what it is that he
I
said
prefer-
that got him to leave.
I prefer
left.
Pine to Shatner. Okay. So obviously we do not have time for a 20-minute dissection of things. But Rob, if you had to put it in basic terms, why like the new series of Star Trek movies didn't work with you like the rest of your beloved rest of Star Trek?
Oh my God.
I've got to hold it together, John. Okay, here's just one point. Star Trek 09 has a villain that is angry and is blowing up planets because his home planet and all of his people were destroyed by a supernova that happens 100 years in the future. This character goes back in time, and rather than go and warn his planet that, hey, in 100 years, there's going to be a supernova that is going to kill us all, perhaps because I'm bringing you this knowledge from the future, we can save everybody. He doesn't do that. Instead, in anger, he just decides to go blow up a bunch of planets and get mad at the people like Spock who didn't prevent the destruction of his homeworld. It's like, didn't they have science fiction movies where people went back in time in Romulus? He's the dumbest villain ever to appear in science fiction. And that is just one point I would make.
I would say, because I love this movie.
Everybody
But it is an absolute stupid point, which is why I think all movies that involve time travel are ridiculous. Because I mean, obviously there are exceptions, that Star Trek 4, Back to the Future, but I'm just saying there is no problem ever created in a movie that if you think about it properly, can't be fixed with time travel. And that's a great example about these logic fallacies that happen in a movie, particularly this one, where it makes no sense.
And that just makes your villain monumentally dumb. And once a villain is Star Trek never had villains. It had antagonists, and their antagonists usually had a good reason for why they were antagonists. And this villain is simply an idiot.
All right. And listen, honestly, Rob is keeping this very succinct. I mean, obviously, Rob is a huge Star Trek fan, and he has a very well thought out.
2 or 3 hours?
Yeah, very long thought out about why he doesn't like the new Star Trek. But I think he just kind of encapsulated a great example of that. Okay, guys, listen. We have run out of time here. Don't forget, guys, there's a big companion video that's going up a little bit later today. Keep your guys' eyes open for that. It's already been recorded, so it's coming up here soon. And there are just a couple of questions left here from the likes of HV3, John Argot Rodriguez, K Major, and a couple of others. We will pick up right where we left off on the John Campea Show tomorrow. So don't worry, if you sent it in, it's going to be read tomorrow. But for now, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you guys so much for being here and making this show a part of your day. I want to thank, of course, Kimberly Ann Curran for being here. Kimberly, where can people find you online?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Instagram at WasGoodKimberly.
Right beside her is Ray Ora. Ray,
Yeah.
where can people find you?
At Ho Island. Ray Oro with a 0.
Right beside Ray is, of course, Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, where can people find you?
Right next to Ray.
Move on, Ho Island, baby.
I can't think of a better weekend, Ray. No, you can find me on Instagram at Robert Meyer Burnett. Find me on Twitter at BurnettRM, or find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnett Work, and just put in The Burnett Work and Star Trek, and you'll hear hours and hours. Commentary.
And of course, you can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter, simply right there, simply at John Campea. All right. And by the way, big special thank you to all of you guys who sent in the live comments and questions and tip questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. And number two, you supported this channel as you did it. We'll be back here to do it again tomorrow. But for now, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. My name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.